up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going, Healthy Warrior Damon?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Guys, welcome to our first show. You've made it to Wrestling on the Rocks, where every episode is our first episode, and that is strictly because we will not get to our second episode until we figure out how to do this. We will have a catastrophic event at some point during this episode. That is our promise and our pledge to you. Nothing will go right. That much I know. Clump, I got a glass filled with ice. Tell the people hello.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Crybaby Clump, or just Clump. I prefer just Clump, but my low self-esteem dictates I call myself Crybaby Clump.
That combined with Kevlar's wife calling you a crybaby in one of our earlier episode ones, which was fantastic. And to be honest, it really stemmed from the fact that it was censored from your own chat, because your own chat thinks you're so sensitive that even the word crybaby is a curse word.
Yeah.
And you had to uncensor it. It was fantastic. I am at Ref Marsh. We are Wrestling on the Rocks. You can find us at WOTR The Show on Twitter. We have a special guest yet again. We got to get her on a shirt or something. Amanda, tell the people hello.
Hi, guys. It's Ms. Amanda Jane. I'm back again. I know. Seriously, I need a shirt or something. Put me on the poster. You know? Oh, goodness. But yes, I'm back.
That's awesome. Let's start with the simple things, simple pleasures. I'm having Screwball. That's what's in my glass.
Ooh.
Little peanut buttery. Little delight. I'm wearing my WCW Nitro ref shirt. Look at that. Because I'll tell you, Wednesday night's feeling a lot like the year 2000. Let's start with Clump. Clump, what are you drinking? And then pitch it to Amanda.
Dutch Brothers Coffee. Amanda.
I have my usual non-sponsored Sonic drink with a splash of Malibu. Well, more than a splash. And a regular Coke over here.
That the producer lady here off screen, that always makes me want an EG slushy so I can spike it. Every time Amanda has a little slushy, I'm always jealous.
You're allowed. No one's stopping you from getting EGs prior to the show. Once the show's going, you're stuck.
Oh.
Every time Amanda's like, "This is what's in my glass," you just hear a door close, and I'm gonna go, "Shit, guys, no one's watching our audio anymore."
It's fine. I got wine that's aged in whiskey barrels, so it's fine.
Is that what you're gonna get?
That's the catastrophic event.
That's the catastrophic event.
I don't know.
Shit.
Hey, you called it. You jinxed it.
Hey, I did not jinx anything.
Yes, you did.
I've predicted. There's a difference.
But you did.
Oh.
Cleo.
Oh. This is good. I'm just waking up. Just waking up. I was just looking at Twitter, see if there's any news I'm missing before we get started. JoJo Siwa's in love. I don't know with who, but I love it.
Who?
It's just trending. It's just literally trending. JoJo Siwa, and then when you click on it, it says
Who's
JoJo's in love.
Siwa?
She's a YouTube star, I guess. So, hey,
Wait a minute.
if you're in a relationship and it trends, good on you. Congratulations. Whatever it is. I love it.
Okay.
I mean, that's the kind of positive trending I want to see anyways. I like the idea of clicking on something and everyone goes,
girl.
yeah, she's talented. We've seen her on Masked Singer.
Dance Moms.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I heard about that one.
That's where she got famous, March.
Yeah.
She got famous
Okay.
from there.
All right.
She's famous from Masked Singer. She's a T-Rex.
God damn
I'm a
it.
This is also
no,
next.
that's not a
Oh
T-Rex
wait,
on my-
are you not on that episode yet, Clump?
No, I already got through that.
Oh, thank God! I thought I spoiled the T-Rex for you, and I was like, oh. All right. Are we just gonna review Masked Singer instead? Let's do that. I don't know if you guys watched last night, but let's just talk Masked Singer instead.
No,
Oh,
we're
I
getting
didn't
back
watch
to
it last
wrestling.
night.
They also
I
have Masked
watched-
Dancer now.
Yeah, I watched Chicago Fire. I can tell you about that. And PD too.
All right, we're getting back on track.
All right. Producers, Loving it. Anybody in the
I'm
chat?
not.
I just opened up my chat for the first time right now. Is anybody in it?
No.
No? Perfect. Perfect.
Why
Loving
would they
keeping
be?
up on the chat.
You're not talking about wrestling.
Let me catch everybody up on the chat. All right, we're caught up.
Okay.
Rust
That was-
buckets.
Yeah.
That's a good old buddy of ours. That's a callback. Cheers to you. Here we go.
Yeah. Send your rust buckets.
I know. I was thinking about him the other day. Actually, he won't believe me. And he's gonna think I'm blowing smoke. But I was thinking about him like 2 days ago, just being like, man. Oh yeah, see, he says he misses me too.
Is it
He's one of the
somebody I
ones I
know
was
too?
thinking about with the pandemic.
Oh
you know?
shit! It is him.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I was just thinking, once the pandemic's over, I'm going with him, and we're gonna go have some drinks somewhere because that's just, man, this pandemic is. I'm drinking alone with all of you.
Hey, I'm here too. I do miss
I'll
bowling,
volunteer
bowling
to
and drinking.
DD that just because I feel like everyone's gonna go a bit ham.
Yes, I will drink ham till I'm drunk.
Actually, when I went and picked up some sushi yesterday at a restaurant, there were a number of people sitting down having dinner. I was like, this isn't good. No one has masks on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's wild. It's wild. Anyways, let's get back on track a little bit. Because producers really let the show go off the rails. I can't believe she's done this
All right, well.
yet again.
All right, what news you got?
We
for
are
wrestling?
taking producer applications.
We're not, so
Oh.
about to mute you.
Oh, getting kicked. All of a sudden, Clump's in the waiting room in the Zoom. Just says, time out.
All right, what news we got for the wrestling?
there's a couple
world?
Cool, I'll go
Hey.
do a workout.
I wanted to bring up something real quick to both of you before we get into well, I guess let's just do the one news real quick. Alice Cooper had a birthday today. Let's just say happy birthday to Alice Cooper and cheers to ya,
Woo!
Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
A
Woohoo!
semi-local celebrity.
Also, Aaron Solo's birthday is today.
No kidding. Cheers.
Mhm.
Cheers to Aaron Solo.
Here's Aaron Solo.
Are they still together? Did you confirm? I just want them to be happy.
What?
The two of them.
Extra talented?
No, Solo and Bill.
Oh, no. I have not confirmed that yet.
Oh, yeah.
But I was told they are still.
Yeah. Well, good. Good. I'm excited to see him do some stuff with AEW. He's been popping up on Dark here and there. The guy is good, man.
Yeah.
I do want him to team with Ricky, so I want him to either join with Team Taz or have them both not be part of Team Taz, but I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
But-
I think, yeah. I don't know if Ricky wants to do tag, but I mean, they're really great together, though. So,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
that's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. They also just announced about a half an hour ago before we went live, Steve Cutler has been future endeavored by the WWE for one of the Forgotten Sons, half of the Knights of the Lone Wolf. So I wonder if they have to update that sweater to just say Knight of Lone Wolf.
Wait, they hit not Jackson Riker?
Or the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy who's not had a great history is there,
Yeah.
but we can't for the life of us remember.
Do you think that they couldn't figure out which one was which? And they just...
No, I don't think that was it.
Is that what you're suggesting? They go, look, I don't know which one. Isn't it this one? Are you sure it's not Cutler? I think
Okay.
that's... Go ahead and get rid of him.
We don't know why he was featured endeavored, but he was.
I don't know your name, but I want one of you gone now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speculate.
One of you guys
'cause
got to go. Pick. Little Sophie's choice in there.
Rochambeau, see who.
Mhm.
But Cutler was good. He was actually talented. We'll see where he shows up. Isn't he with Deonna Purrazzo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he'll show up in Impact or something. I mean, Impact's got a
Nice.
solid roster. We've talked about it. Everyone there is really good, so he could fit right in and have some tremendous matches. So,
Yeah.
Cheers to seeing you down the road, Steve, Mr. Cutler. I do want to say, I want to bring this up real quick, just because we talked about it in our chat, and I know it's not AEW or NXT related, but on my ever-ending quest to point out the over-pushing of Drew McIntyre, they announced the other day that he is one of two people to ever beat both Brock Lesnar and Goldberg The only two people to ever beat Brock Lesnar and also beat Goldberg is The Undertaker. So they're trying to make this comparison that both Undertaker and Drew McIntyre are like this legend status.
No.
But here's the other thing that they're neglecting to point out. Undertaker didn't beat Goldberg until last year.
Yeah.
So all it does is make it sound like, yeah, Goldberg's starting to take some losses. He's not doing great. He also lost to Braun Strowman. Like, they're just making Goldberg sound washed up. They're not making Drew sound good.
Just remember, he was in 3MB. That
Goldberg?
totally wipes out anything that they're trying to do with him. Because I remember that.
He was the
I
first
remember.
member of 3MB that was fired.
Yeah.
That dude there.
Out of that trio, they're like, this one's got to go. And everyone's all like, oof. But, yeah, I just thought it was funny because it was this whole thing where they're like, look, only Undertaker did it. And you're like, yeah, but Undertaker did it in Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia like last year. Also right before Goldberg lost to Braun Strowman. Like, it just... You guys are telling the wrong... Like, that's not the story that's being told. The story that's being told is that Goldberg's not as good as he says he is. He's getting bad.
They have a story, just an incorrect narrative.
Yeah. Like, how
It'd be funny
weird are you spinning this?
It'd be funny if trying to spin it. They're like, yeah, but to be fair, he did beat Goldberg after Goldberg had a major concussion. So, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't help.
Yeah, they're like, well, Undertaker could only do it once Goldberg knocked himself out with his own face.
Well,
Cheers
you know,
to Justin Time coming through the chat. He joined us also with that watch-along we had this week. Amanda, what were you saying?
I was saying that, that's a very high-priced jobber.
Mm-hmm.
Are they,
At this
are they
point-
just letting payroll fly right now?
I don't know if you saw their earnings call, but they're doing good.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this real briefly because I know that Klump wanted to mention it and he forced me to listen to it, and I don't know if Amanda got around to it.
Oh, yeah.
I neglected to ask. Amanda, did you get to the chance to listen to Undertaker on Joe Rogan?
not yet.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Me and Klump finally listened to it. Klump made me because Klump heard it, and I was like, yeah, I really can't find it. And then he linked me, and I was able to hear it. It was kind of a whirlwind. I listened to it over the course of, I think, 3 days, to be honest. I kept getting interrupted and stuff.
You
But
did better. That's better than what I did. I listened to it all at once, and I was a little bit...
Oh.
Ugh.
I also think that there's things that happen that make you question the tone. And I don't know, because I think that people were picking and choosing what they wanted to hear and how it came off. And I don't think they were getting the full story. And I do think that I'll let you say all the things you want to say here in just 1 second, because all I want to say really, I mean, we'll have our back and forth for sure, is that it came off really rough in the beginning. Rogan did not make the business sound good to start off with, and so it was kind of an uphill battle. But by the time Undertaker starts talking about the business now and such, Rogan does, in a sense, defend the way that things are now on a couple of fronts. So it really wasn't like, because when the big quote that everyone was pulling out of there was when Undertaker said it's kind of soft now, and guys were real hard back in the day because times were tough and they had to have a gun and knife. And so he just says that it just comes off a little bit, and he goes, people they're not that way anymore, and he kind of misses it. But Rogan immediately says, he goes, well, that's because that's how you came up. He goes, it's nostalgic. Like, that's how you look back on it. It's not that, which also kind of defends the idea of, like, it's not that it's better. It's just that you remembering where you came from. And the fact that he has those stories of rolling around in the mud and sitting for, paying $2,000 to get shorted on actual training, sitting in an office for 8 months in a row, just trying to get any job at all. And now things are easier for the guys in the regard of getting into the business is a lot more direct. Getting paid to get started is a lot more realistic, where it was a lot more sacrifice up on the front end of it. And so it was a tough business to be in. I think that he was glorifying his past in the sense of, I wouldn't have changed it for the world kind of concept. Not that I really didn't get the tone of him just saying, like, yeah, everyone's a bitch and nothing's right with it. he was critical of some things for sure, but I didn't get the tone that people were trying to say about him, just saying he wishes people would bring guns and cocaine back. I was like, no, he didn't say that. And I don't think that was the tone of it either, ultimately. But that was a lot there. Clump, get into it, man.
Okay, so in part, like, I appreciate what you're throwing out there, and I feel transparently, like, having listened to it all by the end of it, I like Undertaker, but I have a hard time liking Mark Calloway as much. And it was kind of difficult to not have those bleed into each other. And in part, like, I get what you're saying, and I think that was a good... By the time we got to that point, I almost didn't hear Rogan kind of say the nostalgia part, because I had heard Rogan and Undertaker and Mark Calloway throw out various comments throughout that I feel kind of amplified the idea that
Yeah, I didn't help.
it didn't have... I agree that maybe he's not saying that he wants, wants everyone to have guns and knives in the locker room, but I feel like there's comments he made that, I feel like he was pretty, and this is Mark Calloway, was pretty hard on WWE and change. It did feel kind of like an old, your old man going and saying, well, yeah, you have it so much easier, when I would have appreciated him saying, and it didn't come off like this to me, we've changed for a positive. At no point did I feel like he was saying that. I feel like he wasn't really defending change when he went into comments about how he used the word entitled a few times, and I felt kind of upset about that. Like, to me, when the one example he said is, I don't get this entitlement, and Rogan kind of amplified it with regard to how things are now and just general culture, I felt a bit hurt as a fan, because to me, it would have been a better space for him to say, yeah, this has changed a lot. I did this, it sucked. I'm happy people don't have to do that. And it didn't come off like that. It did come off like a guy reliving glory days, and it felt like somebody being fed a lot of lines by an atmosphere that kind of bred that, and I really didn't like it. Like, it kind of affected my ability to see a dude I really grew up liking a lot. And then the other part of it too that kind of bugged me was, time and again, I'm trying to think of the words to kind of... You have a better view of this and a more positive view of this than I do, and I appreciate that, because I came out of it a bit turned off, as M. Brian in the chat says.
The beginning was rough terrain to get through. They open up with, like, this COVID shit's like fake and political, right? And goes, for sure. And you're like, what? The fuck?
The middle doesn't really save it, though. By the end of it, because they kept going into things like steroid use, and then, Rogan's going into, they had it back then too in UFC. Neither one of them really backing off on that. Yeah. It didn't feel like anyone stood up and said, whoa, hey. It felt like both sides really just kind of fed into each other. And if somebody was listening to it who really wasn't a fan of wrestling, they might come out of it really with not a positive view of it. And I could see a lot of people saying, yeah, this feels really, this is just weak dancing.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's not great, just because you're going to have people who listen to The Undertaker and think, well, if Undertaker thinks this shit is soft, then I know I'm not going to like it, and they're not going to tune back in. I do think that he's trying to bring up the point that regardless of for the good of the performer, there is a definitive difference in product, and he thinks that part of that has to do with the fact that there's a different way to get in, a different experience. It's harder to find people with edge. You have to find out how to give someone an edge, where before it was real tough guys actually going out there and sometimes actually having, like, the idea of Bruiser Brody. He told a story just kicking the shit out of him when he was new. Yeah. Laying it in and busting him up. Well, everyone who's in the audience that night are leaving there believing it was real, because a lot of it was probably pretty real. You know what I mean? And that's a kind of interaction you're not going to have nowadays. You very rarely is it going to be that someone's trying to teach someone a lesson in the ring. They're going to be a lot more PC about it. Not that that's negative in that regard, but that it does affect the product. If you don't have people who have that tough guy edge in the ring, like as much as I think Xavier Woods is absolutely incredible, I don't think if pushed that Xavier Woods is going to fight back unless he feels like there's an actual literal threat. Like I think he would be the type to try and swat you away and be like, no, we don't have to fight. Whereas I think with JBL, when he was in there, if I started to pick a fight with him, I wouldn't have had a chance to try and talk my way out of it. I would be too far in already. You know what I mean? And I think that does present a different look and feel that the audience can just get a feel of. Like when you're at a bar and you know a dude's just, that guy's a mechanic. He's going to break that glass in his hand. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's what he's trying to say. He doesn't know how to say it. Producer had something she wanted to say.
Oh yeah, this I know I mentioned before, I didn't get to listen to the podcast, but just on that topic, as a former aircraft mechanic in the military, it kind of reminds me, this conversation reminds me of when I started out. My shop was very much just majority males, with all listening to metal with a bunch of tattoos, and it was like the stereotypical mechanic. And of course it was definitely rough. And, looking back on it, I remember thinking, by the time I got out, thinking, wow, these new guys have it so easy. They're not getting tools thrown at them, and they're not getting, mildly hazed. But at the same time, I was appreciative that they didn't have that experience. But at the same time, I did definitely recognize that the training was definitely different. Like, I learned things because I was just, screamed at and yelled at and things thrown at me, but I learned things immediately, like it was a different learning process. And by the time I left, the training was so different, and people weren't picking things up quickly, or they didn't care to, and there was a sense of entitlement. So to me, that, like, I completely identify with that sentiment, that you can appreciate it, but not, like, I wish that people didn't have to go through some stuff like that to get the end result. But it does make you question on the other side, like, from the other side of it, it does make you question, is that needed to make that end result? And probably not. He's probably a bit jaded in that regard of, you have to be beat the fuck out of to be good in this business. He's probably incorrect in that assumption, but also it's the only thing he knows. He just knows it worked for him, and he knows it worked for a bunch of guys before him. So it's just tough, I do want to say one thing real quick and get your opinion on it, Clump. With the whole entitlement business he was talking about, you know what I thought of more than anything when he was talking about that was the guys we've talked about before, EC3, Eric Young, as much as I love them, the Good Brothers, the kind of guys who go and do interviews after they get released, and they say, well, if you don't have 5 minutes on your show, then something's wrong with your show. Well, why do they have to give you 5 minutes because you're EC3? Like, do you know who I am? You should be giving me 5 minutes. Where I think that from a guy like Taker probably feels an awful lot like entitlement, and not an awful lot like he had to earn every fucking second, when he's got an experience of people saying no one will ever pay to see you wrestle. And then he sees people who get paid to learn how to train, and then also say, and then they didn't give me 5 minutes a week because they're stupid. I can understand why he would say that in that regard specifically. Clump?
I wish he did. That's the thing. No. You throw that out, and I get what you're throwing out there, and I wish I heard narrowing it to specific examples rather than say just entitlement and talk about entitlement. Because to me, I heard, hey, we got awesome positive things. I wish that statement got thrown out when Joe Rogan said, well, hard times make hard men and soft times make soft men. And right now we're like, and shitting on this current kind of, they went more broad into culture, but I got really, frankly, dude, I'm really tired of hearing old assholes who've made the situation what it is bitch about people being entitled now, and then so broadly say it. I wish he had said that line, as you put it, or somebody kind of came in and said, well, we hear about this. I wish they had another person who's a huge fan of wrestling, Tony Hinchcliffe. I wish he had made a comment about, like, well, how do you feel about people in the business who are upset that they're not getting featured on shows?
Yeah.
And that would be great, but it never got to that level. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably feels that, but because we never heard things like that and we heard it put in such the way it was, dude, I came out of it. I came out of this viewing Mark Calloway a lot more like I view Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I do think I agree with Matt Brown in the chat there, the famed worldwide phenomenon, Matt Brown, saying those goddamn millennials type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I do think there's actually a very real possibility that as I take what he said and try to find aspects where what he's talking about, that there's probably a very real sense of him generalizing an entire generation of people just based off of a number of interactions. Yeah. And his own personal internet biases towards the generation, as it were, too, just based off of his news that he consumes as well. So I do think that generalization was out there. But I don't know, producer.
I appreciate you. Well,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Clint.
I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate that you're pulling it back in because, I messaged you after it. I told you I was pretty fucking pissed. And
yeah,
I was. And I appreciate you kind of pulling it back in because that's something you do well is you try and, maybe reason the context to what the person, like why behind the words. And I appreciate that here because I think I lost that in this,
Yeah. And I do think it was easy to lose in this. And I do think that I'm not trying to make excuses for the things he said, but I was trying to understand why was he saying what he was saying. And that's how I related it to where I go, okay, well, I can see where he would say that in a broader sense. Because also he comes from a background of snitches get stitches and all that dumb shit. So he might not want to point out specific examples, and he might feel like generalizing is the best way to go about it. Like, and then it's also this is something I see a lot too, where they're like, well, if it's not about you, then it's not about you, right? So, I can say this generalized thing about the entire generation, but you determine if that applies to you. Maybe if you got your feelings hurt, maybe it does. Sorry, pumpkin. Where you're all like, what? No, you didn't even consider if it was about me. You just said it about everybody. And like, well, then then maybe it's targeted at you if you feel that way. And you're like, no, you're blanketing off you just spray shot. And you're like, well, if it's about you, it's about you. And you're like, but it's not about me. And they're like, well, then what are you worried about? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I get that too. Yeah. That's a constant internet back and forth where it's all like, I mean, I got into it a little bit with Ryan Satin over on Twitter about the same kind of thing, where he's all like, anybody who says they don't know who Bad Bunny is outing themselves as being completely out of touch. And I was like, I will admit I do not keep up with pop culture. Perhaps that makes me out of touch. It does feel a little name-cally to say I'm out of touch for not knowing, when you could say, oh, you're in luck. Wait till you find out how good this is for the business. You know what I mean? Like, you can say the same thing without saying it that way. But then the response was also kind of like, you admitted you're out of touch, so maybe it's not about you. Maybe it is. You know what I mean? You're like, what the fuck?
No, I agree. It's like, I feel like at many points what got me is like, I almost get what you're saying, but you could have thrown it. Like, honestly, if he'd said, like, if he talked about the way he talked about the performance center, if he'd said, we have this performance center now where we bring people in, like, rather than say, yeah, you get a contract to train. Like, yeah, we realize our industry always needs to grow, so we are able to pick and look for the best people that we find and give it a chance to be here and work to be the best version of them. Hell yeah. But
I got it. I think producer wants to say one more thing and we'll wrap up this topic because Amanda Jane is over there falling asleep, chugging on her Slurpee over there. she's gone through more Stoli than she has Sonic, I think. We're gonna get started, and Amanda's gonna be like, let's woo!
I was just gonna say I wouldn't be shocked that if the reason he couldn't or didn't articulate as well as you did is because he has fucking 30 years that he's trying to sift through. And, I mean, my military experience is less than 10 years. Yeah. And I'm just, I have got these flashbacks of, it would be called mild hazing, but, so it doesn't surprise me that he didn't articulate as well. It's a shame that he didn't. I do wish that they kind of would refer to the Steve Austin sit down, because I think that was better, because Steve Austin comes from the same world, so he understood what some of the things that Taker was trying to say.
That's a really good point. In that back and forth, Steve did say, I think what you're trying to say is, and helped him through it. Because I do think The Undertaker has a tough time not generalizing, just because, I mean, he is an old man. He's a grumpy old man. By the time I'm mostly that way now. I go, I don't like it, leave it.
And
he's never been a fantastic mouthpiece. Like, if he was, like, he's a fantastic character, but he's not been a talker, So Steve, best voice in the business, that transition's a bit easier to being a podcaster, being an interviewer.
Yeah, and I do remember at one point, towards the end of my time in the military, I remember, going through all of this shit, and then one of my supervisors just mentioning, like, how do you make a diamond? And I, got frustrated and said, what's the answer? What are you trying to tell me? He's like, intense heat and pressure. So, the underlying message, if you will, was that obviously different scenario, but I kind of see them in similar terms.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot, being forged by fire, sharpened by iron, that stuff. Like, I get it. But I do think that he was generalizing, and I think it's easy to do that. And I also think that there's plenty of examples you can make on either side of it to disprove a lot of what he said, versus also saying, but this is what is true. I think that there's a lot of specifics here. And I think I think it wouldn't be a stretch to say that the product is different because you do have a different type of person there. That doesn't mean the product can't get edgier or can't be good or anything
a different
like that.
Culture.
It's a
different audience.
Culture. Yeah, everything's different about it now. So, I don't know. Sorry, that derailed me. I don't know what I was saying. I was mid-sentence, and now I'm done for. Forget it.
I have a question. So,
who's that?
I know, right? In this day and age, the whole cancel culture and outing people, obviously with the crap that happened in June and all of that. I mean, do you think that, like, some of us, like, there's a select group of fans that are like, no, we need to know, like, who out these people? It doesn't matter how long ago it is, or if it was some secret society. No, you need to out them. Because I think, honestly, if they had cancel culture back then, they probably would have not even, I'd say 99% of the shit that they did, they wouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah. No, wrestling would have been totally different. Attitude Era wouldn't have even happened. There's a lot of people there who had a lot of bad history. A lot of your favorites did for a long time. So I do think there's a separation between product and people as well. Let me see. Rest Bucket's in the old chat there. Intense heat and pressure also makes glass, which breaks. It's not the heat and pressure that makes diamonds. It's the quality of the material being refined, which is true. Mm-hmm. I've always said producer is quite the charcoal.
What?
That's good material to refine. That's what starts the diamond.
All right, moving on.
Isn't that?
No, it's coal, not charcoal. Coal.
Yeah, charcoal.
Is there a difference?
No, I don't know.
Oh, shit.
All right, we're done with this topic.
Ah, damn it.
That might be cubic zirconia.
All right, what other news we got?
What else we got?
No, I forget. I was gonna say a couple things, and it's gone. Oh, as far as the cancel culture thing too, I think that something else that never comes out of it is a resolve. We saw a little bit of it over the weekend with some misguided words and gifs, and I think that even when someone comes out and makes an apology, the thing that always gets me is that what is your solution?
Yes.
Like, the solution can't be banishment by rocks every time for every infraction. Surely there must be different levels, right? There must be something unforgivable, but there must be something someone can grow from. There must be the acknowledgement that young people say stupid things at times. That doesn't exist.
No, that doesn't exist. No, because without going totally into it again, Marty Scurll, he was the only one of all of those people who actually made a statement. And there was a consequence. ROH canned him. So we can't say
he looked in the mirror.
And, but everything else, it's too bad. Doesn't matter. You're off to, I don't know, Guantanamo Bay. You're ousted. No more.
Yeah.
And I think but I think there's different levels to it.
There's got to be growth culture, right?
Exactly.
If everybody wants to tweet out about, hey, you're just got to be the best you, and the only person you got to be better than today is you yesterday, then why don't we allow that for certain levels of infractions as well? Like I said, there's definitely unforgivables out there, but there's also levels of this person needs to grow, and they need to become a better person, and if they're willing to, that should be acceptable.
On
Sammy
that
Guevara,
topic,
made the comment about Sasha. I rape her. Had sensitivity training. He didn't even know if he was going to be able to come back at all, but he came back, and he supposedly had this training. But yet, a couple weeks ago, he was, fat shaming with MJF. So, I don't, did he learn a lesson? I don't think so. It hit him financially because they probably didn't pay him, but he's forgiven though. And it's okay because he apologized to her. So it's okay. But I'm like, okay, but where are the pitchforks? Same with Will Ospreay. No one has these pitchforks out, and he's actually a bully, Yeah.
It's all weird. Matt Brown in the chat does say there was a country singer that lost his record label over saying the N-word. Would I not lose my job if I said the same thing? I don't know. I don't know if your job would let you go. Maybe they would ask you to go to sensitivity training. Maybe there would be other options. Doesn't mean you should never have a job again ever in the history of anything. I don't know that that's true. Can you become better of a person after the fact? Probably. But there's going to be ramifications for sure, and there absolutely should be. There should be punishment. There should be reactions like that. But does that mean that you're cast out forever? Does this mean like, hey, not only should you lose your label right now, but we hope you never make another dollar the rest of your life, and we hope that they take away all of your money now, and people need to literally attack you in the streets if they see you? Well, maybe that's not the end solution for this. Maybe that's just the start, is losing your label, and then there's a process to get better. I would hope, right?
I think part of it.
Producer had something she wanted to say, and then we'll go back
to
Clump.
Yeah.
Go to Clump? Yeah.
I think part of it, and this is the hard part to me with these moments, in growth, it is a society that grows. Unfortunately, we don't get to dictate who, we don't get to dictate, and we do, how people change and how people do better and how people grow out of it and stuff there. We can respond and try and see. I think if we're upset or frustrated with somebody like, Sammy for continued things, we should continue to be upset with them. With what happened with several stars out of England and is continuing to happen, those that some people say they didn't get enough action against them. Yeah. There's been further, there's tweets whenever they appear, like Jordan Devlin. Mm-hmm. People have tweeted out GoFundMe's to his, or the comments made by people. We can continue to have that voice.
Yeah.
When it comes to people like Marty, though, I'm cautious to say a lot because I'm far outside of it now. I know I want everything to be okay, and I want to see more of him. I want him to fight for it, but I'm backing myself out here because I don't want.
Yeah.
To me, the ultimate thing with what we're seeing here with this moment is a positive in my view, because there may be people who we find that got hurt and we didn't want them to.
Yeah.
But I almost would rather have that moment of people being hurt for their actions than have them just be passed over and it's okay, as it has been time and again. The culture
Yeah.
that created this situation is changing finally, and it's going to hurt. Once we get
so
past,
like a pendulum,
yeah,
it's got to pull hard the other way before it can find somewhere in the middle.
pain is the hardest part of that, but pain is part of growth. And that's what sucks here. Because, I time and again with Sammy, what pissed me off so much was we talked about he disappeared. He came back to this big showing positive thing, and I felt that the tenor of that was terrible. And I agree, I almost feel like you have this moment, a response is we're pulling you out of your gimmick and changing you up. You need to show it and go from there.
Yeah. I think there's just not a lot of consistency there, and it can be confusing. Like to see people react the same way towards someone who
yes.
posts a GIF that seems out of context and probably not a smart way to read the room is being treated the same as someone who's identified as like a physical abuser or a predator, and you're like, well, why are we responding the same way and with the same fervor? Like, I just think, to me, I don't get all of that, so I try to stay out of a lot of like. I mean, I keep track of it just because I'm all like, well, I don't want to support these horrible people, but some of that stuff, you're like, you literally dug out a tweet from 13 years ago, and you're like, look what this person said 13 years ago when they were 12 years old. This person's obviously horrible forever. And you're like, well, he hasn't said it in 13 years. Like, maybe he grew. Like, it's weird. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know.
I want to say one thing through the chat. I agree wholeheartedly with Matt, with what Matt Brown threw out there. It's,
Go ahead.
to me, I think the easiest part or easiest thing that we can do when we respond to a situation where we feel bad or we feel hurt is we want to go to whataboutism. It's a great logical fallacy that we throw out. It's a terrible form of argumentation, but it's something that we try and do to reason out, this moment, like why, when we feel something is being unjust. And in a lot of cases, it's, what he said here is the term cancel culture itself. I get frustrated when I hear it because it's almost like when we talk about millennials or we talk about we use the term politically correct, people immediately almost sneer at it. And we put it into this negative light, but no, it
can be dismissive, but it's not always incorrect. And I think, to me, I think of the cancel culture as the people who do come out with pitchforks to make an overwhelming statement about a very simple actual thing, like where it's the opposite of what you want. Like, you want to see that kind of stuff with actual accountability of things that actually matter and actually have victims and stuff. But some of these things you see people come out with and you go, that just seem like relatively innocuous, but we're coming at them with the same fervor, like you'd said, as if this person was just caught on tape blowing something up or shooting someone. You know what I mean? And you're like, there has to be a difference. And I think, to me, that's where I see it, where it's like, okay, here's someone who tweeted a GIF, instantly regretted it and deleted it, and now here's a string of people retweeting pictures, screenshots of the GIF saying, fire this person now. And you're like, well, the person probably thought twice of it. Like, why are you acting as though this person did a horrible, horrible thing? And to me, that's the cancel culture, not the people looking for, not the speak out movement. Speak out was not cancel culture to me. That was accountability. But these snapshot, this you from 14, 15 years ago, you're trying to make a thing happen about something that's relatively pointless and not impactful. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Clem?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like for examples where cases of people all throughout, like Louis C.K., where there was behavior and people talking it was in the past, but there's actions, and that person's career was irreparably affected, and their lives because of the lives they affected. There's people like James Gunn, who for a period of time it seemed like his ass was not going to be working in Hollywood for tweets.
Yeah.
And there was one thing I try and feel here. I try and sit back and let people react to it, kind of go, because I don't know. I feel like it might be harder in wrestling, because in wrestling it's such a small community that is there. But I guess I sometimes truly feel that the important thing, like in owning something, you have to let the world kind of, you have to own it.
Yeah.
You can't just kind of let it pass or let it die down, because then that's not being accountable. And sometimes in being accountable for something, you might have ruined your life, whether or not you can grow, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's true too.
The hope is that you can grow and do better and get out of it. And I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel in this. Is it's still new too. This is a new thing to hit this industry.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that at any point Undertaker was saying, no, that stuff needs to come back. And I feel like that was a lot of the tone and the reaction to it. Because a lot of people were all like, what, do you want people to die now and take drugs again and be murderers secretly? No.
I'm sure there are people who do.
Yeah,
to this day.
Some people.
Murder people? I'm not, maybe Nick Gage, but I don't know.
Nick Gage is crazy.
That one, I'm like, oh, I don't know. He's pretty, he's very intimidating individual.
I think producer had something she wanted to say, and then we can run through some of the shows.
Oh, I was just gonna mention in the chat, Lars Sullivan.
Yeah.
I thought that was an example that was kind of on that level that we found out later recently. He was released, but he did mention that he had this crippling anxiety, which is, I'm guessing that that's one of the factors that came to his release, but just things that we don't know about that we're just jumping on. Yeah,
he did come. Someone reached out for an interview with him and at least got a statement that he was released from WWE because of his crippling anxiety, that he couldn't show up to days where there was TV tapings, and he couldn't handle it. And that's always kind of a bummer just to hear about someone having to experience that regardless. The dude didn't seem like a good person, so, it's not like I'm not crying over it, but you just go, oh, shit, that sucks. But it also makes you wonder, he said shitty things on a forum, for sure. Saying shitty things, does that mean you did shitty things? I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff, but I do know that he probably was really, I think there was a reason he deleted his social media early on in his career. He had no reason to go there if he already had anxiety problems. Anything on that, Clump?
I was gonna say, beyond that, he said and did shitty things after with a female yoga instructor. There's a few more things than just the forums, but what people are complex. If anxiety is a part of it and he needs help, maybe this isn't the right industry for him. But then part of it I want to say as well is it can be easy to it's a complex person with a complex situation who doesn't sound great and did some things that were not fantastic at all. And there's a lot there that could have led that ultimately maybe anxiety or one part of it led to his firing, but a lot of things led to him being seen in a difficult light to people who watch the industry or watch the product. And I think, to me, like, those are what I think of.
I do think it's cool to have an audience that has higher standards than there used to be. And I do think that there's something to be said for the amount of people who say, oh, the Attitude Era was the best era, are really saying they wished people had lower standards for what they watched. And so I completely don't agree with the idea that Attitude Era was the best era of all time. I think a lot of it aged poorly. I think a lot of it... And here's the other weird part. I even heard them... I think they even said it in the Rogan thing, where they were saying that the Attitude Era was so good because it was edgier. This person's like, I was a kid. He goes, and now it seems like... This is like he was talking on both sides of his mouth. He even said that, oh, the product now caters towards children. And it's like, oh, how do we get kids to buy toys and stuff? And, oh, how do we make it look good for kids? And he goes, but during the Attitude Era, like, I was like a teenager. You're probably 13. And he goes, and I was like learning stuff from these guys, you know? Like, I didn't even... Like, it was overly sexual. They were really coming at each other with, like, these, like, the way that they were making fun of each other. And he's like... And I was like, you don't think that was catering to a adolescent audience with very low standards? Like, that's 100% what they were catering to.
Yeah, my entire school was saying suck it.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a bunch of children telling their teachers to suck their dicks. Come on. You can't think that that was better. You know? So I do appreciate that the audience nowadays does have higher standards. But I wonder how many people are involved for the thrill of the chase.
They don't. And I'm just going to say this. Next time you go to a show, if there's a weird smell, just remember we supposedly have higher standards. I guess not when it comes to bathing.
Yeah, not hygiene standards.
Hygiene, no. Yes. No. So remember, people, wash your shirts. Use deodorant. Wash your shirts.
Let's get into it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's two quick positive things I had in news. NJPW entered a deal with Roku. And we'll be producing a weekly show starting the 11th of February.
I'm so excited about that.
Yes.
Is it going to be like a channel on Roku only?
Evidently, yeah. Like, it'll be if you have a Roku set-top box or product or a TCL television, it'll be in their kind of streaming content, because Roku has some content they just provide. Oh. So yeah, that'll be awesome. I'm excited for that, because hell yeah. Also, they're like $bucks. I'll get them.
You're gonna
also, they're not. I was like, how much? Oh, these are cool. Congratulations and like positive shout out to Gabby Tuft, who announced recently they came out about their transition. They performed Tyler Rex in WWE. That's pretty awesome. It's cool to see those voices that are, you know, those voices within the LGBTQ community in wrestling. You know, it's awesome to see that. They made an official
announcement about it. I saw that there was a headline, but I was curious about how the announcement was made.
They did an interview and stuff like that, and I posted to social media. But still, that's good. Yeah,
no, I'm
I
glad.
Support that.
I was really hoping when I saw the headline, I was like, I hope someone didn't just like find out something and throw it out there in a thing. I hope this person like wanted it out.
The initial article that kind of led me to look more into it was like it was written with very old language that was not helpful.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. I was all like, I don't know if I feel good about how this information came out. But if they did an interview and they were talking about it, then perfect. Good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
All I know is this Roku deal. They better at least be able to use the NJPW app, because let me tell you, it is a pain in the ass to try to watch, you know, New Japan. Like, I want to watch Wrestle Kingdom on a big TV. I have a Roku, but I have to stream it and run it from my phone and do all sorts of weird mumbo jumbo. And it's always like a delay of at least 30 seconds. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I don't know. I hope that's in the works for them.
No one ever said it was easy being a wrestling fan.
I know.
Let's see. Let's talk about AEW. You guys want to talk about it?
Do it.
Sure.
We'll talk about some of it. Man, here's the thing. There's a lot of gimmick matches that are really hard to do, and it's obvious because you don't see very many good ones. And things on that are things like battle royals and lumberjack matches. And they had them both in this show, and I was like, they haven't figured them out. Why do they keep using them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay not to do that.
Works.
Yeah. I wasn't at all into the tag team battle royale, and ultimately Jericho won the whole thing. What did you guys think about Jericho in this one? And his this was kind of the Jericho coming out story, right? Finally making him into a star.
Was it now?
I don't know who told you that.
Well, there's this company Star Makers, man.
Well. I'll start off by saying, honestly, I was shocked that the Bucks didn't win it. So we get the Good Brothers and the Bucks. So that now means that this program is going to drag on till probably Double or Nothing, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's the next big one that I can think of.
Yeah.
And they actually, I think, are trying to do it in Vegas. Because I saw a thing somewhere online, and it's ready for them to go. It's scheduled. So I don't know.
I mean, good.
Yeah, but it was honestly, it wasn't that great. And it felt like on commentary they were making up rules as people got thrown out. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got that feel too. Like Excalibur made it feel like, oh yeah, well, when the one person is out, doesn't mean the whole team is out. And I'm like, what is this? These crackhead rules all of a sudden, you know? And yeah,
Jericho gave Excalibur shit a couple times this night, and that was fun. Go ahead, Clown.
Bill O'Reilly just sitting in the back screaming, "Fuck it, we'll do it live" into a headset over and over again, like just figure it out on the fly. It was rough. I will say, I'm not happier they're extending the Good Brothers Young Bucks storyline, because it does feel pushed, and I feel like they're not going to take their time and build this like they, what it needs to be. But I'm so happy it wasn't the Bucks winning it and taking the spot away from other teams. I would have, honestly, I think it would have been a better story if, Sammy was in it, right? Like with Hager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Sammy won it. Yeah. If he knocked out another Inner Circle member and kind of further fermented that idea of, splitting in the Inner Circle, because that story needs to be sped up versus the weird slow stop-start build. It just didn't work out. Or Santana and Ortiz, one of them could have won it. Just something else. It felt so. I didn't want either of the Young Bucks to win it, but I certainly didn't feel much better that Jericho won it. I was just like,
yeah,
this isn't an F, but this is certainly a D-.
Yeah. Also, Jericho was messing up a lot in this one. There was that spot where they're like trying to push Jungle Boy out, and three of the Inner Circle are like putting their feet on him and pushing out. And Jericho legit stopped making contact, but still like had his foot there, just looking lazy and weird. It was awkward. Just in time in the chat saying Jericho again in a position to put over someone and didn't do as usual.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. Go ahead, Amanda.
Here's an interesting thing about just the take that I get from the Battle Royal. I was just kind of looking, online, and a lot of people like to say AEW is all about the Bucks, the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's true, because if it was, then yeah, they would have won that, the tournament 2 times in a row now, and they would do the Good Brothers thing and then be gone with it. But that didn't happen. Or I don't know. I mean, because you can look on their faces sometimes, like Matt and Nick, or Nick especially, sometimes does not have a poker. He just, you could tell on his face that he's just like, he's not having it. I mean, this is like, it's like, I got to go along with it. I don't necessarily like this, but I'm just curious on what your take is. Like, do you think it's all about the Bucks? Because I personally think that AEW is really about Cody's agenda first, and then for some reason, I don't know why, but Jericho, his agenda comes second.
Yep.
I think
And-
your worlds have collided right there, though. Because for the same reason Jericho forced himself into a story that didn't make any sense to be around Orange Cassidy because he thinks Orange Cassidy is hot right now.
Mhm.
Also, what do we have building up to now? If it wasn't all about the Young Bucks, then why does Jericho want so badly to work with the Young Bucks? So much so that there's a battle royal to put him and his new tag team in the number one contender spot to have a match against the Young Bucks for a title so he can be near the Young Bucks and say he had a Young Bucks match. Even though it's a company with ranking systems where wins and losses matter because there's always going to be a number one contender based off the rankings, and we haven't heard about the fucking rankings in months now because it's a sports-based entertainment, right? Sports-based product. I'm glad they started dropping it, though, to be honest, because it hasn't been that for a long time. But I do like they stopped talking about it. But I think the fact that Jericho's trying so hard to work with the Young Bucks is exactly the point on why you can say it's all about the Young Bucks.
Well, I mean, he had a match with the Young Bucks on the first cruise. I was there. And he teamed with them. So, you know, I'm like,
Yeah, that was
but
awful.
still, I mean, yeah. I mean, they weren't that great. I mean, let's face it, they weren't that great. Or maybe, I don't know, I was injured at that point in time. But, because I did get injured on the boat. But I don't know. It's just the inner circle thing, I think, has gotten stale. It's run its course. I mean,
Yes.
you know, like I don't
100%.
necessarily, I don't care about them. I'd rather see like Team Taz go on and on and on, right? That would be better.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, there's other stuff that, you know, I would love. Actually, to be quite honest, I mean, I'd rather see Shaq talk with all the guys on that Inside NBA or whatever that show is called, you know,
That's funny. Yeah.
talking about him maybe wrestling. I mean, that's better to me than seeing. I called it Flubber, and Canal Street Boy.
Oh,
Because
that makes sense.
Max's fake, yeah. And I
Yeah.
just call Chris Jericho Flubber because that's what he looks like. He looks like a blob. I mean,
Yeah, he's
I'm
blobbish.
just like, ugh.
In the chat, I agree with Just in Time though. But I might add, it feels like.
Read it. They can't
Okay.
read it all.
Sorry, Just in Time said it almost feels like they're afraid to move past Jericho, and I would kind of add to that. And I don't know if it's Tony Khan, I don't think it's Cody. I think Cody's pretty well insulated his ass from Jericho, but it does feel. Yes, but it feels like in a lot of ways the office is not willing to move past certain people, Jericho being one, and maybe the biggest example I would also throw out Kenny. I like Kenny. I feel really frustrated with how we keep throwing his ass in these weird spots, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a broad
think
statement about the show. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the Young Bucks and Tony Khan are both infatuated with Jericho. They've been saying since they started that Jericho's kind of our Hogan. Having him around is really special. He's one of the greatest of all time. If you ask me, he probably is the greatest of all time. Okay, only if we ask you. I think anyone else who is saying that at this point is just giving lip service to try. I think that a good chunk. You know what? Let's talk about. I think a good chunk of the audience they're catering to, and what Tony Khan is trying to do is build the audience of anti WWE fans, not pro AEW fans. And I think we'll get into that towards the end as I map out this conglomeration that he's putting together. Anything else about the Battle Royal other than it was just a messy way to start a show?
No, but I think Top Flight looked good. I know they're still very green, but I think they look good.
I like them. Sting had a promo where he didn't let Darby talk because Sting's been well known time and time again for all of his countless high caliber promos. Well known as a talker. But so instead of letting the new guy get a little bit of work on the mic, they went ahead and let him be quiet because the good talker of Sting makes Darby look better, I suppose. Ricky Starks did have a nice little chime in there. I really liked him.
he stole my shirt. I'd like it back.
Oh my god. What?
That's not, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, I when he came out, I'm like, oh my god, that's my shirt, because I have a shirt very, very similar. So I was like, yeah, no, quit stealing my wardrobe. You know, it was really interesting how now Sting has this fatherly kind of bond, or whatever we want to call it, with Darby.
Yeah,
a little
Papa
weird.
Sting.
Papa Sting. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for a Papa Sting and Baby Darby shirt. I mean, I'm waiting for that. I don't see it yet. You know, or a little
Like Sting holding,
little...
cradling Darby in his arms.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, with like a turtle and a skateboard, you know, but whatever. But no, I mean, it was really interesting. And it's funny because, like, I don't know, Sting's supposed to be a promo guy. He's talking to basically.
I was bullshitting, Amanda.
Oh, you were bullshitting. Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
He's not a promo guy. The most famous year and the most profitable year of all of Sting's life was the year he never talked.
Oh, oh, okay. Okay, I don't know.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to lure you.
No. It's okay. Hey, I thought Cody was getting like 10 figures. So yeah, dumb me. But yeah, no, I mean, he's going up against people, those two who like to talk and are good. I think that maybe both of them shouldn't talk.
That actually wouldn't be so bad if it gets up there and you just see Taz and his team just spewing their shit, and Darby just quietly points at them the same, like with his skateboard and the way that Sting points at people with the bats.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be awful, to be quite honest.
No.
Because these promos now as they go are just like, do you think it's better than the Talk Clump? What do you think?
I think of Darby doing that, and because of how he's been portrayed, it comes off as brooding, but not in the sense of, you know, a big, like a scary, brooding, unknown kind of monster like Sting, because Sting's a bigger dude. It just comes off like a pouty fucking kid.
A creepy kid, like hot talk.
No. I don't. No. Yeah. It doesn't come off creepy to me. It just comes off like
Invader Zim.
Yeah, it comes off like Dib from Invader Zim, just sitting. Yeah, just sitting there upset. I don't. I
love it. Yeah. Justin's back in the chat again saying it's the same thing with Sting being on the show every week. It feels like he's there to draw attention, and they're past that phase. And I agree 100%. When they announced he was going to be back and he was going to be on there weekly, and it's this long-term thing and all that, I was like, oh, that'd be interesting to see how they use him. And then the answer was, they're just really not going to be using him. He's just out there. It's weird, man. It's weird. I did think it was interesting that it was a fucking blizzard on the inside of Daly's place, but there was not a single snowflake outside where Taz and his party were all locked out of.
No.
I just thought it was funny. There's just like all this snow going, and there's like, hey, they won't let us in the building. I was like, it's not snowing outside?
Yeah, you're like, what's going on? It snows at the beach. That was the first thing I thought. I didn't know that it didn't snow at the beach.
And Justin said he doesn't need to be on the show every week when all he's doing is the same thing. And I think that's the real crux of the whole thing. We haven't seen anything different from Sting from the first appearance to now. There's been he had a hard time breaking glass last week, but he finally broke one. So that was nice. But it just made him look like he can't beat up glass, which, as Russ Buckets, if he's still around, points out, can break. He hasn't done anything to add to any of it. And the other thing is this. Darby's had how many title defenses? 1?
Yeah.
So does that kind of make Cody the John Cena of AEW just because he had an open challenge week by week? And
Yep.
All right. Doesn't bother me.
Yep. But
Go ahead. Say whatever you guys want to say about this segment because I'm done with it and we'll move on.
Well, it's interesting what Sting is going to do when Darby has his second now title defense against Joey Janela.
Oh,
and yes. And honestly,
that Janela promo too. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. I will tell you, I've seen Joey Janela and Darby Allin wrestle each other at least 3 times. And every time I feel like, oh my God, someone's gonna die. And I'm like, I can't be here for this. Because it's just so intense. So it'll be interesting to see if they tame some of it down because it's, TNT. But I don't know. But Sting is supposedly, keeping Team Taz away from the ring or whatever they're going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to hit, Ricky with a bat again? I don't know. What's he going to do? Is he going to lock him out again?
Fuck Ricky Starks. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
No, hit someone else. Like, let your son take bumps. That's part of being in the industry, brother. Come on, you have to take your lumps sometime.
Yep,
but
that's gotta.
It'll be interesting. But Janela, I must say, that was very interesting that it's him. Mm-hmm. And it's also interesting. I don't know. Did you guys watch any of the GCW, the 24-hour benefit that they did last weekend?
I think I saw one GIF from one moment of the whole thing. I absolutely avoided it at all costs. Clump, did you watch it?
No.
Well, I'll give you a Janela highlight. Janela had wrestled. It was the actual GCW, like main kind of, not really. It wasn't the main event, but it was the second to the last. And he had this really great promo. And part of it's like, how much of this was a work? How much of this is real? And it was very interesting because he went on about, a year ago, I thought I was the shit. I got signed to AEW. I'm wrestling on TV. And, he's like, basically his shit didn't stink.
Yeah.
Okay. But he lost touch of who he was because he wasn't the same person. And so now he's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going back to it. So that was very interesting. And then all of a sudden he has this title shot, which I'm like, you're jumping the line, buddy. What are you doing? But it's very interesting that I'm not saying GCW and AEW are merging. No, I'm just saying that it was very interesting that he's on this path. And if I can find it, just the speech, I'll upload it so you can see it.
Yeah,
but
tell people
it's very
so they can find it. Yeah,
it's very interesting. And with Joey, like, yeah, he's become a cartoon of himself. And that's not the Joey Janela that like I came to love, so we'll see what happens.
That's a good point. I was not feeling the real cartoonish bad boy vibe, but the way that he said it in this promo, I was taking notice. I'll be honest. He came out with a fervor that I was really not into, and I was like, this dude is a joke. I was not having it. But as is one of my favorite flavors, Joey Janela cooked me up a fresh plate of one of my favorite dinners of crow. And the last promo he had when it was still televised before he did the tag team stuff was fucking amazing. I was like, holy shit, what's this guy doing? This promo right here, I was like, whoa, I want to see what they do here. And I really like the idea of this character. Because I always thought, oh, Bad Boy Joey Janela, that's so stupid. That's the worst name. Drop it. Get anything else. But the way he said it in this one, I don't know. It just didn't come off cartoonish or weird this time. It came off like kind of brooding in a sense. It was nuts. Clump, am I way off? Did you not think that Janela showed up on this promo leaps and bounds beyond any promo we've seen of him before?
It made me very happy to see it. I agree with you. I like Joey Janela. I have for a long time. I've not really seen enough of him here to be happy in AEW, but if I see more of this, hell yes, I'm bumped. I don't want him fed to Darby, but that's mainly because I fucking hate Darby at this point. I kind of I would love Joey to get to have the TNT title, and I think it could be more interesting. I think he's shown that he can hold a title more. He's shown that he can do more as a. I think there's more of an upside with him. I'm not saying Darby's not good. I'm saying Darby needs more time, and he's kind of proven that.
Yeah.
I think Janela is a little bit more marketable. He's got a really, I'll use the word interesting, a very interesting fan base. But I think with Janela, there's just something about him and his personality that people can get behind. And he's pretty sincere about it, and it's real. And it feels good. So I think that's where like Darby misses out, because he doesn't really, I don't see a connection with Darby and, fans. I don't. And
what's weird is I feel like I did in the beginning, and I feel like it's starting to separate.
I don't know.
I'm not seeing the same connection.
I don't think so at all, because I've seen him at I'll use PWG, he's selling merch in between whatever. Yeah, you're not in character. But even then, his interactions with fans were they weren't the normal. It wasn't, it was a little weird. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's interesting. I was really happy about it overall. I think that as of right now, as much as Sean Spears thinks it's him, I think right now the biggest actual sob story and case for misuse and mishandling in AEW is probably Janela. Although Sean Spears has been removed from their roster. I was just double checking, as a matter of fact, because he cut that promo where he said different 3 letters, same glass ceiling. Sean Spears just isn't there. He was removed a bit back. We did see him at the tribute for Brody, but at the same time, it was a tribute to Brody, and I'm sure that bridged a lot of bad feelings in general. I feel like a lot of people just wanted to be supported by each other, and you can't knock any of that. So even respect to them for, if there is bad blood there at all, if that is at all, quote, a shoot, then respect for them for letting him show up and be around everybody for that. But I do think that the usage of Joey Janela has been, to me, surprisingly and shockingly, I'm going to say Janela is the one I feel is being misused pretty severely over there. Which also, and I say that as someone who is literally eating crow so bad feathers are coming out of my nose right now. At StarCast, I could have met him and Penelope Ford. Literally snubbed them. They even saw me, and I looked at them and went, ugh, and walked away, because I was like, no.
Oh my God.
I was a dick.
Yeah, you were a dick. And probably Joey's like, what the fuck was that about, probably.
Yeah, he probably was like, the fuck was that? I totally Sean Spears Joey Janela.
Fucking Joey.
And I apologize. I'm eating crow right now, fed to me by hand by Janela. I'm gonna tweet at him. I'm gonna see if I can get him to do a watch along with me.
Yeah.
Just some crazy wild match that he wants me to see that I've never seen.
Yeah.
His favorite death match. Maybe 2. I'm gonna see.
We'll
tell him.
Into danger zone there. I don't know.
It'll be a nightmare. Clump, you want in on it if I do it?
I'm in, yeah. I'm still looking like, wow, Sean Spears is gone. I'm kind of like, the world feels brighter.
I'm shocked about that too.
The world feels brighter.
Oh yeah, I when I saw that they were like he's removed from their roster, they didn't say anything. I was all like, fuck yes.
Race guy's good. Clear up.
Well, the only place he could go really is ROH, because they don't have a partnership with AEW.
That's not true. There's another place he can go.
Yeah.
Straight to
That's
hell.
the only place he can go.
Say fuck off.
Oh God. Yeah.
He can turn that son of a bitch sideways and stick it straight up his candy ass.
He could go to he could go to Home Depot and work there. Like that. That's cool.
That too. Yeah.
That's a good point, man. He doesn't know Lowe's until he knows Lowe's.
Yeah, like he's got muscles. He'd be fantastic at like, I need some PVC cut. He can, move it, stuff like that. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, dude, I would love to be like, hey, these bags, could you carry these bags to my car? I would love it. Guys, let's move on. We are gushing too much over Joey Janela, and I never thought that would happen, despite the beauty of everyone he's with. I still never thought that would happen.
I think it's a fever dream, honestly. I've never heard you be positive. I'm kind of weird about this.
It's weird, right?
My
I
heart
will
is
say
happy.
this. I knew something was up when he broke up. I don't know who broke up with who, but when the relationship split between him and Penelope Ford, and then you see him with Brandy Lauren after that, I'm like, something's up with this dude. Like,
he was
what's going
single
on?
for but he was single for the longest time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Though
But
after. Because Penelope, next thing I know, whoa, she's with Kip. Whoa.
yeah, she
that was
is.
quick.
And we'll get to that right now. Is there anything about Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker you guys wanted to say? All I really want to say about it is I do believe that this was Britt Baker's best match to date, which makes me think that maybe Britt has an easier time working up to someone's level than working across at the same level or down to someone's level. Like, she can't bring up a match, but maybe she can work up into a match. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I wonder about that, because this match was actually, I was not excited about this match, to be quite honest. I have been very disappointed in literally every match I've ever seen Britt Baker in. And as this match was going, I was like, this is clean. This is good. There was a little bit of rough start, and it looked to me like, I mean, which is probably the way you want to do it either way, but there was a while there where I was like, is Thunder Rosa like really laying it in on Britt here and saying, you better fucking listen to me? But the match ended up being pretty decent. Go ahead, Clump.
Yeah. The match was decent, but my take was like, wow, Thunder Rosa's the Bret Hart of this of AEW right now, because I was not a huge I was not a huge fan of Britt, and the Rebel's presence annoyed the shit out of me and fucking ruined the match.
Oh yeah, the finish was awful, but
yeah, so many ways. But no, it was the best. Yeah, it was the best Britt match I had seen, but that's really not given a lot of credit there.
Right, but I don't think it was a bad match, and I do feel like most matches I see with Britt, I think, are bad matches. And this was a good match, so I think it was the best match Britt has had. But you're right, it's not the best match Thunder Rosa's had, but it doesn't make me hopeful for some of it. I'm going to read Justin's comment, and then, Clump, if you had something you wanted to throw in, we'll get it over to Amanda. It says, Britt actually stepped up, and she did really good. I'll admit it, and I'm not a Britt Baker fan. The ending left it open for a rematch down the line at some point, which is true. It was schmozzy, it was shitty, boo, you're getting worked. I just didn't, I also felt like it was a little telegraphed. And this was also one of those spots where the ref clearly watched everything that was happening. And then Excalibur is on commentary and goes, the ref's vision was completely distorted. He couldn't see that at all. And you're like, I'm looking at his eyes now. Like, what are you talking about?
He's rolling his eyes as Rebel's taking her sweet fucking time to get in position.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Amanda, what'd you think?
It was a very underwhelming match, because I was thinking, and maybe I gave Britt Baker a little too much credit, because I was hoping that she would step up a little bit more so than what she gave. Because in the beginning, you're right. Yeah, Thunder Rosa was really laying it in on her, and I'm like, well, Britt, you've been great on these little promos, bickering and whatever, but you're not bringing it. Like, come on, like, what's going on here? So I'd like to see number 2, and hopefully number 2, she takes kind of the lessons of really watching herself and watching tape and seeing that, okay, there's what she can improve on, because this one, you can tell that, okay, you can wrestle a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Clump is our resident expert for number 2s, by the way.
Yeah. So it's like, if you want to, make number 2 a really, make it epic, then you need to step it up. So
yeah,
that's what I thought about it. And Rebel just freaking, I don't know. The only thing I like about Rebel is when they do the waiting room, her horrible laugh that's phony. I love that. I don't know why.
That's funny. I like that you dig that. I'm ready to move on, though, if you guys are. Cool. The Hangman Page Matt Hardy versus Chaos Project, I didn't like any of that at all. I don't understand any of it. I don't know what Matt Hardy's doing. Matt Hardy seems to be the most aimless person in the whole company, and has been since he got there. Every week it feels like he's trying something else out.
Yeah.
But I hear it's all tied together through being the elite. What was that, Clump?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he's throwing everything at the wall to see if it sticks. However, he's not letting anything like breathe.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I could see one of these things working if you put some time into it, but I don't know. Um, this felt weird as hell, and like Matt Hardy just feels like a generic heel. He doesn't feel crazy. He doesn't feel special. He feels spastic,
Yep.
broken. Like not in a broken way, but like in a like he's not like what is the like it, so much of this show felt like it was put on by a high school drama club and they didn't get high marks.
And everyone apart from Ricky Starks was yelling the entire program.
Yeah.
Every single promo, Tully was yelling at the top of his lungs. Oh, you know who didn't was Dax. He also didn't yell. But everyone felt like they were yelling. Commentary was yelling. The audience was like yelling into their mics. They were like piped in really hot. But it was also like clearly not the fans. It was the coworkers. You know what I mean? Like it was obvious. Yeah, I don't understand. And so the fact that all of Matt Hardy's story is truly being told on Being the Elite is going to tie into as we get towards the end of this. This is the only thing I have to say about the wedding, because I'm ready to move past the Matt Hardy stuff already. I think Clump summed it up nicely. This whole wedding segment was as shitty as every other wedding segment that's ever been on wrestling. And the whole joke is that Miro has been involved in 2 wedding angles before, and he made comments about those like he's smarter than that, but it made him look like a bigger fucking idiot for being a part of this one.
Yeah.
Producer had something she want to throw in real quick.
The thing worse than that, I think, was just the cake frosting. It was just regular frosting, so it didn't go everywhere. Like,
it was royal icing. And here's the deal. I watch a lot of those bake shows back in the day. Royal icing has got a texture and a feeling a lot like almost like a Play-Doh. It's like thick. I've experienced it myself. I've been at
Like
weddings
Fonda?
and stuff. Like a Fonda. Yeah. Like that's how royal icing is done for one of those wedding cakes, because you want it to be clean for all the picturesque moments you're about to have. I'm not in TV, believe it or not, but I know that you don't use actual royal fondant icing for a Pratt spot. You used a whipped cream that's colored and smoothed out to look like it is. So it goes everywhere. So she falls into this cake and gets none of it on her.
she's trying to rub her face.
Rubbing it. Literally, you watch her grab it and rub it on her face for this spot, turns to the camera, and nothing's there. And you're like, fucking Christ.
Yeah, this is the things like this just it takes me out of it, because it just makes me feel like I'm watching a junior high or high school play.
Yes.
And it just
This whole thing was a high school play.
and I'm the most casual viewer like in our whole group, I think.
Yeah. And you know what's also stupid? I'll let you guys talk. Don't worry.
I got words.
Yeah. We when they first opened up, producer goes, "Oh, there's a box shaped like a person and a cake bigger than a person." She goes, "Who's supposed to come out?" And I was like, "Oh, Orange Cassidy's gonna break out of one of those." And I was like, "I don't know. I'd guess the cake, but I don't know." And I was like, "But it's gonna be Orange Cassidy." I was like, "It might be Trent if they were faking his injury, but Cassidy's gonna be jumping out of one of those for sure." I was like, all slow and stupid, like probably. And then, of course, that happens.
Slow.
But then I saw a bunch of people on the internet and in chats that I was in just being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Orange Cassidy." You're like, are you serious? My favorite part about wrestling is getting worked, but there's also times when it's just impossible to not pay attention to the littlest things. That was a cake that looked like a cardboard cutout. So bad, dude. Hold on, let's hit the chat. Justin says, "The most poorly put together garbage segment anyone's seen. Miro's going to be forever known as the guy associated with horrible wrestling wedding segments." And I don't think he's off. Like, at this point, Miro has gone over to a new company to show that he can reach for the brass ring that's imaginary and go, but I love the other shit I was doing. Can we make it worse? Like, this whole thing was a sloppy fart. It was awful in every way. I don't think anyone did a good job on any level. And I think Miro looks like an absolute idiot for being a part of it, because the joke was that it was Clump, I heard you got words.
I like what producer said. Yeah, it felt like a lot of the show, but specifically this, it felt like watching just the worst improv. It was the longest fucking thing I've ever watched. Everyone was like, not just a step off, like they were like not in the same room off of each other. And at no point did it feel like it was coming back together. It felt like it fell apart and everyone just kind of went, oh, well, it's already going to shit. Let's just keep going. And there's no effort to try and save it. From the cake being bad to the moment I saw James Mitchell come out, I immediately was like, okay, so Tony Khan's a big fan of this.
Yeah.
And James Mitchell's lines annoyed the hell out of me because it felt like weird throwbacks to the Attitude Era where done by somebody who thought the benefits of the Attitude Era were purely the debauchery of it, but not able to do it. Like, it felt like just, we're going to say dumb, hokey lines. Like, we're going to say dumb, hokey, you're a pervert shit.
Yeah. This was such good shit, pal.
Yes. By the power vested in me by AEW and Tony Khan, just like, I'm done.
Yeah. The way they objectified Penelope over and over again, do having to grope and all that shit. Like, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah, to having to grope, to having
not funny.
It was just dumb. And then when it fell apart, it felt like it was in slow motion and not in a good way.
This whole segment was slow motion, dude.
Like
slow motion, like a car wreck.
Like, why is it taking this long to... Like, why is he going to kick it? Why is it taking this long to cuff him? Why is nobody talking? Why are we all just kind of sitting here waiting? Why is Orange Cassidy, like, slowly lifting up the kick? I know he's the most lethargic person ever, but if that's the case, make him the fucking butler and make Chuck the guy who busts out. Because Chuck's... I hated it so much.
No one's better for this segment. Amanda, what'd you think about it? Did you love it?
Fuck no, not at all. No, I enjoyed this as much as I. Yeah, well, you know what? I enjoyed it as much as that musical theater thing that Jericho and MJF did. I don't know.
They'll get an award from the New York Times.
Whatever, but I think that the musical was just a little bit worse. Obviously, yeah, you can tell it. Tony loved this idea. No. But the segment brought two things to my attention, and it has really not anything to do with the actual segment. Is one, AEW has the worst camera crew, or whoever is, calling the shots on which cameras to go in the back. They're not very good, because we shouldn't have seen Penelope like on her face because the cake was stupid. I mean, just stuff like that. And I just kind of was like, oh, and it happened quite a few other times as well in the evening, like during the Battle Royal, there was a couple of times. Actually, even in some of the matches too. Yeah. So I don't know. That also kind of took me out of it too. But I'm like, whatever. It's a wedding. Someone's gonna, there's going to be cake in someone's face, and there's going to be somebody who's a surprise, but not a surprise because it's orange, I mean, the one that would have been a surprise if it was Janela, but but that's not the storyline. So, yeah. And then the other thing too, I wanted to call back on this one about, with like the coworkers and stuff. And I was going to say that the mic was very, very loud on the side that the Gun Club is on. And I swear to God, Austin Gunn just needs to calm the frick down, because he had these horrible chants, like the AC/DC, the Thunderstruck thing.
Yeah.
They were trying to do for Thunder Rosa. I'm like, what is this? It's like you're trying too hard to get something that should be naturally organic. And
you're trying real hard to get something over. They also were chanting tag team slut at Jericho, but it makes it sound like they're saying tag teams suck, which is not what you want.
Or I thought it said tag team slugs.
No,
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
I also think the idea of chanting slut right now is probably not necessary.
This is TV. You can't have someone, call themselves Stroke Daddy, but you can, chant slut as much as you want.
Yeah.
So,
and then they kept singing Jungle Boy's song in every segment.
Yeah, that was Austin Gunn. And I'm like, you need to put duct tape on his mouth, whatever, because it was very obnoxious. And then, of course, that side, because it's always usually the same people, his brother gets into it, and then they all get into it. And, I'm like, no, we don't need that. We get that there's really no fans. We get that. But you can't try to force something, when it's really not there. You just can't. It's like piping in. They're better off piping in sounds of crowds.
100%. Producer had something she wanted to say on this.
Well, I mean, first you'd have to have the know-how to do that, Amanda. But yeah, part of me wonders if the executives from the channel watch this from the show.
There's not a chance in hell they watch it. Let's see in the chat real quick. Fabtina says she wonders why Miro would do this, and Justin says went through a terrible wedding segment in WWE, left and went to AEW to do the same. He has no right to complain anymore about getting garbage because it feels like he has no problem with being involved in it. Beyond not having a problem being involved in it, he's a part of the creative now. As they say, everyone's a part of their own creative for their own storylines. He's got the least amount of ground to ever walk on saying I was misused in WWE. Were you? Because you went to go do your own thing to prove everybody wrong, and you did the same thing.
Yeah. Same entrance, same everything.
Yeah, so I don't know that you were misused.
I feel like also... So, to Amanda's point and to, the comment that we just heard, Miro also... This has shown how weak of a performer he is. Like, I wanted to defend the dude forever, but he gets shook by the audience.
Yeah.
It just sounded like he sounded shaky. And I'm not saying, this is, he can't get out of that, but fuck, it sucked. Like him being shook and when the crowd's, and then, the crowd shouldn't be singing. Your talent shouldn't be getting other people over, but I feel like your talent also should be able to handle some people yelling, because what's going to happen when he has a crowd in front of him? Yep. It was,
There's a weak showing for sure.
And I think he basically, was digging his grave with this, because now it's like, what do you do with him? Because he's a joke now. I don't think you can recover from that. I mean,
you solidified it. He's been a joke since he got there, but this was the big underline of like, don't forget, I am a joke. This is
the punchline. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, hey, if he's making good cash and, wants to do this stuff, good on you, man. But
let's not pretend it's higher level.
Exactly, because it's not.
It's not. I'm ready to move on. I only have like 2 more things to say about the show, more or less, if you guys are ready to burn through some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, the Lumberjack match. Here's my problem with it. The Lumberjack match was really awkward, really weird. Didn't make any sense to have the Lumberjack spots they had. All of the spots involving the Lumberjacks were devoid of the match and distracting from the match. And when you have 2 talent who work so well together like Lance and Eddie, and who could put on such a great match because they've done it before and they are who they are, Let them have just a match. Make it a street fight for all I give a shit. Do something with it, but don't have how your entire fucking other roster out there trying to get themselves over instead of focusing on this match. These talent are too good and are too good together and have too good a chemistry for the whole thing to be torn to shit by a stupid stipulation like a lumberjack match, which didn't make sense to begin with, didn't need to happen to begin with, and they're already impossible to make good anyways. How many good lumberjack matches have happened since the 80s? You know? Just AEW doesn't need the stupid shit right now. Not now. That's all I had to say about it. Was this match would have been better if it was just the two of them wrestling. Clump, I know you had something you want to say about this match.
100%, I agree. I felt like this match would have been better if it was just the two of them. In performing, I sat there and I was thinking, like, why is King doing Jericho's strikes?
Mm-hmm.
Like these weird, like, or like this weird mix of like backhands with Shane's dumb potatoes.
Yeah.
Like it was very weird. And then why is Butcher and Blade getting in more power spots than Eddie? Like the only throws or anything. And who the fuck are these knockoffs of heavy machinery that I'm now calling large equipment coming in and getting like involved? It just it was god awful.
And they weren't even signed talent. It's Bear Country. I don't think they have contracts.
No, they're large equipment.
Oh. Well,
I'm calling them. I will not call them Bear Country. They're large equipment.
Okay, well, large equipment does not have a contract. But yeah, that was sloppy.
They rented them like large equipment.
There you go. Yeah, and the Gunn Brothers, I know they had a little action in there, and I was like, God, you guys, it's not about you, okay?
Yo, and
it's
then
not
Eddie,
about you.
They pulled out Lance. Heels pulled out Lance to beat on him.
And
at one
faces
point, Eddie,
did nothing to Eddie.
They did nothing to Eddie. They go to toss Eddie back in, so Eddie rolls back out and attacks them.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? This whole thing didn't make any goddamn sense.
Like, you're morons. You're fucking morons.
Oh, and when one of the Gun Club gets up and is yelling at Eddie, and he's there like yelling at him for a long ass time for this big lumbering asshole to get into the ring. Like it's like it was just so bad. It infuriated me. It was like this is easily this is going in my low point for wrestling for the year. Like
100%.
Oh cool, we're in February.
And here's the deal too. Justin says, I didn't hate the lumberjack match. It was just the same as every other lumberjack match ever. And I would disagree, only that this was a remarkably bad lumberjack match, because a lot of times they put those matches together with other mid-card kind of conversations where you kind of don't care about the match to begin with. This is a match that could have been great if you just let these two wrestle. And instead you added a whole bunch of shit cannery on the outside and even on the inside. You had a whole entire table spot inside of the ring for nothing. So I disagree that it's just as bad. I think it was actually a little bit worse than the average one, which is even more bad because of how good this could have been with any sense being added to it at all. Say what you guys want about it, and then we'll move on to the big surprise at the end.
Nope, got nothing.
No more.
All right. The last match was a total fucking shit show, but it ends... And it was just a fucking nightmare, man. The refs here are just so fucking pointless.
That was Aubrey, right?
Yeah, she's so bad. But so this whole match was a total shit show. It didn't make any sense. I couldn't follow along. I didn't really give a shit after a while. And I was waiting for the surprise to happen at the end. This whole match felt like, we're going to surprise you at the end. Wait for it. And then so the surprise comes over. And it's Hideo Itami. Yay!
I don't know who Hideo Itami.
Kenta.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know who
it's
that is.
Kenta
But
with
it's
purple
Kenta.
hair. And Kenta shows up from fresh off the mid card of NJPW in a mediocre storyline over there that no one cares about. Here's the deal. I don't think Kenta coming over as an entity is shit at all. It's not going to do anything. I've seen him. I've seen him a bunch, and I don't see any hype behind him at all for any reason. However, the idea of AEW working with NJPW, that's the big news, is now you have NJPW showing up on AEW, and there was always this proverbial, like GR Lunar says, forbidden door being opened there, because Young Bucks felt so slighted by NJPW because they weren't big talent over there anyways, that they didn't want to work with them and that they would never work with them. And I think they said that somewhere. So the idea that NJPW showed up is like, oh my God, how could it happen? Clump, what do you think about Kenta showing up in AEW? Is this the greatest thing that's happened to wrestling since Kenta?
It's not, and I felt like I kept thinking of Kenny staring at him and acting weird, as Kenta didn't seem to give an absolute fuck about Kenny. That made me giggle, because it made me think, like, I feel like there's an internal kind of conflict here about the idea of the Bullet Club, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is me reading into it, NJPW does not want Kenta or their talent connected to the elite, period.
Yeah,
because it felt like, he was in he came into a match that they were involved in, but there's no like handhold acknowledgement at all of Kenny, and while Kenny's like, it felt like somebody's like, look at this, look at how amazing this is, as that person's just like, fuck off, I don't care about you. Like, cool.
Yeah. How shitty does that make the AEW heavyweight title look like? A dude shows up all the way from Japan to come after the U.S. title that Moxley holds from NJPW. Doesn't give a shit about the AEW world title. They just said in that one segment that the NJPW U.S. title is more coveted than the AEW world title. Isn't that interesting? They would do that on their own TV show. Let's see real quick. Amanda, what do you think about it before I get into the chat?
Well, I was one of those, holy shit, it's Kenta. I mean, so that my mind wandered right after they did that. I'm like, wow. I know New Japan is under new leadership now. And I did some research, and apparently, I guess they wanted to sit down and talk to Tony Khan, and they wanted him to go to Japan. Apparently, Tony didn't want to go to Japan, so he sent the Bucks and a lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the Bucks were the ones who got the deal done. And a lot of it, I think, is because a lot of the bad blood had to do with the prior president, there, and just things like that. And because I think partially too, the ROH partnership that they had, that, ROH fucked up. But I think that, is it good? Yeah, because you're going to get a lot of things you probably wouldn't see before. Because it's now opening up to you would think that it's Impact too, because remember, the Good Brothers are over at Impact. So it's all of them, except for the women, but all of them, all those men are probably like, ooh. Yeah. Now, is the US title, I think, more important than the AEW title? No. And they shouldn't have said that on commentary. But what I do think, though, is Jon Moxley is a different Jon Moxley in New Japan versus the one he's in AEW. It's not the same.
Yes.
So it's very confusing now, because now it's like you came up, you went through the forbidden door, and now you're here, but you just kind of screwed up everything because it's a different guy. So that's kind of a shitty thing to have to, figure that out. But it's really opening the doors to a lot of other things to be in the future. Because one of the immediate thoughts I had was, man, bring Archer back to Suzuki-gun, And then I was like, oh my God, they put the band back together. Give me KES, please. I'm like, yeah. And then just thinking of LIJ versus Team Taz, and just all these things in my head. And I'm like, there's a lot of possibility that wasn't there. Now, probably my prediction, if anything, and because of the way the world is right now, maybe by the end of the year, you might have in one of these big arenas, or a couple of them, there might be a couple shows that they fly over from Japan and you've got that mesh of people. That's what I think probably might end up happening at some point.
Or with like that women's tournament they have with half Japan and half American talent.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
have
but why is
more
Rio
stuff
on
happening over there.
Team? Yeah, but why is Rio on Team USA?
Because she's
in the
officially
US.
signed to AEW.
But that doesn't make sense. She's Japanese. I don't think she
She's in the
speaks
U-
English very well.
She's
Or I
in the
don't
USA
know.
though.
When did she get to the US?
I think I think they're going based on like where people are at. I think
literal
she's
location.
Yeah, I think she's in the US. I think
No,
like
she was still with Stardom. She was still over in Japan.
Yeah,
So
but she
that-
might
I
be
don't
in the
know.
U.S. by the time. I think what
Yeah.
Klump is trying to say, and what I believe is also true, this is not necessarily the Japanese talent versus the American talent. These are the matches that will be taking place literally in Japan. And these are the matches that will be taking place literally here in Daly's place.
Okay.
yeah, this
Gotcha.
person's in the US. This person is in
Yeah.
Japan.
Gotcha.
Riho will be performing
Okay.
in Daly's place, where
Gotcha.
Aja Kong will be performing in the Tokyo Dome or wherever. I don't know. What the fuck
Got it. Got it.
Here's
Okay.
Here's my thing about this. This is the big thing about it. Let me run through the chat real quick just to make sure we're not gonna miss a thing, or maybe it'll lead right into it. Lunar says he'd rather see Los Ingobernables stay Japan and AEW. Fabtina says the beginning of AEW, Klump really wanted this mix, so it's crazy to see the shift when it happens. And Lunar says that's because it's about the execution. Justin says, I honestly agree with the TW Take said, which is weird because TW Takes podcast is traditionally terrible wrestling takes. He says this whole multiple companies working together is just the same as they did in the indies, except now it's on TV, which I think goes to Amanda's point from the first time she was on the first episode one that she was on here. And I said, you hadn't seen AEW or NXT in a long time. What do you think of these two programs? How do you view them? And she goes, oh, it's big budget indies. This is one more step in the big budget indie. And then Justin says people are just trying to make a big deal out of it. Lunar says if they would have said the IWGP heavyweight title is more coveted than the AEW title, yes, that is a fact. I don't know if I said that they said that. I'm saying that that's what was insinuated by this program. So I do want to backtrack if everyone says or think that I said commentary said that it's more important. I think that the motion of Kenta coming over and attacking Moxley over Kenny, when you have a chance to attack champions, you picked the one with the U.S. championship, not the one with the AEW world title. And if you're trying to say the AEW world title is the most coveted title in the world, you would think that someone shows up from Japan, that's what they're going for. But they're not. Not only did the person not attack Kenny, like Klump said, Kenta paid Kenny no mind at all. See you later. So it makes it a little bit less. So I will say that I agree with it. Just looks like expensive indies. I thought it was really funny. Someone tweeted out, we saw Impact, NWA, AEW, and NJPW all on one show tonight. And David Marquez tweeted, sort of like my show last month in Primetime Wrestling, or whatever it was. He did.
Yep.
He's been doing shows with everyone from all the different companies too, and it's just is what's happening.
He does it so well.
Oh, David Marquez is an absolute genius.
Oh, I love Marquez. Marquez is amazing. I mean, one thing I hope would love to see is if they somehow bring him into the fold of AEW, because Tony Khan can learn a lot from Dave Marquez.
If he would just fucking listen, for sure. David Marquez is absolutely brilliant on so many levels. I wish I could make David Marquez just be my best friend, but I can't trick him. I've tried. So
go to Disney. I've heard going to
I know.
Disney with him since he worked at
I
Disney
know.
is amazing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is how do I trick him into taking me to Disney? That's the trick of it.
I don't know.
So-
Well, they're closed now, so you've got a lot of
Yeah.
time.
So, but he can get me in, I think, because it's even if it's close, he can get in.
Yeah, but you can't ride anything.
I don't need to go on
You
a
can't do
ride.
anything.
Just show
you
me
can't have
around,
a churro.
David.
You can't have a churro.
I'll bring my own churros. So here's
or
the
a
deal.
corn dog from the Red Wagon.
This is what the NJPW merger type thing seems to me. Unless Tony Khan is buying up all of these, then I want to see what weird advertising segments he puts on the NJPW show on Roku like he's doing at Impact. But what this really does to me more than anything is further muddies up the waters of AEW. Already, I don't understand Matt Hardy at all because I don't watch Being the Elite, and I'm not going to because I already watch, to be a dedicated WWE fan, 7 hours of wrestling. To watch AEW as well, that puts me at 9 hours of wrestling. Now you're telling me that I also have to watch at least an hour a week of Being the Elite. But no, you're also telling me you're going to be putting stuff on Impact, another 2 hours on Tuesday. So you want to put me at 9, 10, 11, 12 hours of wrestling. Now you're also saying that you want me to start watching NJPW to also keep up with what's going on over there. You want to put me at like 15 hours of wrestling. I don't think this move is for the, quote, wrestling fan. This isn't to gather all of the wrestling fans and experience in more wrestling. He's trying to figure out how he can, on a different level. This is my take, and maybe TW takes will agree how terrible it is. I think Tony Khan's trying to recreate the anti-WWE by creating the amount of hours of content of WWE. Void of being able to actually do it, he doesn't have the contracts to be able to put on 5 hours of TV for a network on 2 nights a week. So what does he do? He partners up with multiple other companies and YouTube to put on the same amount of hours. So you have to choose between AEW's world or the WWE universe. He's creating a divide in the wrestling fans by merging with literally every company. AEW Dark's traditionally like 4 hours long, 3 to 4 hours. How many hours do you think people have in the actual day?
Yeah, and I'm choosing quality over quantity personally, and if I'm talking quality, that's WWE. No argument there. I mean, come on, look at the production.
Yeah, at this point, if you're creating the divide, and I think that's what Tony's trying to do, is create the split. We will no longer have joint fans. You either pick the AEW universe or the WWE universe. I'm easily going to just slide out because you know what? NJPW is only on Roku. Impact's on Twitch. AEW's on TNT and YouTube. But you know where WWE is? NBC Peacock. That's right. All in one spot. Like, that's my take. That in this big venture to, quote, unionize the entire wrestling fan base, you've actually created the biggest need for a divide that there's ever been.
It's no, I get that. It's decentralizing versus, compiling, which there's an argument for both. I can see a benefit to, yeah, you can watch your stuff here, and here. Okay. But until you have the ability to say, hey, this awesome important shit happened here and here and here and here in a cohesive, good way on your shows,
Yes.
it's kind of hard to make an argument to me to watch like 30 hours of wrestling. I gotta watch Narcos too.
That's a good point. You love Narcos.
Yeah, I'm a second watch through, which I hate that I'm doing that. But like, you have to have more. You have to spread the content out. Yeah, but you got to also make it so that I can kind of get what the hell's going on somewhere else.
Yeah.
Also,
and they don't do a good job of catching you up. Go on.
I was going to throw this out too, kind of to what this made me think of. Why don't I like Kenny and the Bucks here as much as I did on the Indies? And I don't think they're doing a whole hell of a lot different, other than they're acting more in NJPW. There's a lot less talking because they're gaijin heels, so they're not in a speaking role a lot of the time. And if they are, it is in contrast to a lot of different things, and it kind of works out. In the US, when they'd be here, they're in the Indies, and it's, Indies at times a lot of cool silly shit, which I love. Yeah. But that's also because it's an indie, and I kind of throw some like, yeah, it's an indie, whatever. You can do more exploring. I'm not expecting things. I don't give that credit here. And as they add other promotions in, it feels more and more like that, because it's like when you're watching, tape from some small promotion in Ohio where, oh wow, Kenny came in, You know, he's got the IWGP title, or the Bucks are here, or Cody's here. He's got the Ring of Honor title. That's fucking amazing. It has more weight than your tiny ass promotion because it's your tiny ass promotion. That doesn't help here when I'm watching and I'm like, oh, cool, he's the IWGP champion. Yeah, that has a lot of weight to it, but it does kind of shit all over your belts. And then I keep thinking back to, man, this really does feel like a big indie, and in not the best ways.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, my only hope for all this is maybe in working with NJPW, we can see some of that NJPW magic that makes that promotion so compelling to an audience that doesn't understand a significant portion of it.
Yes.
You know?
That would be fantastic. However, if I have to watch all of those things, you know what I mean? Amanda, what do you think? Am I way off base here? Do you think Tony Khan's trying to create the big divide?
Well, he created it when he created AEW because everyone was like, you have to choose, you know, and me, I'm like, whatever, you know, I don't have a, you know, I don't have a part in either one, like to say, oh, one's better than the other, you know. Sure. I am kind of like Nostradamus, like it's a big super indie with a high budget. Yeah. Now you're getting something that's it's on a different echelon. Definitely more professional than Impact Wrestling. Obviously, you know, AEW, there's things that they do right and there's reasons for it. I think they can learn a lot from the refs. I know Red Shoes could probably teach them a lot.
I have an issue with Red Shoes, but I hear you. Continue.
Yeah, I do too. Sometimes I miss Tiger, but you know, Tiger Hattori, but you know, and he retired. I personally am a Marty Islamic person, but that's just me. That's just me. Anyways, but I think there's always going to be a divide. That's how this is always going to be. So for me, yeah, when it comes to a tournament, like, oh my God, G1, you're going to be fucked because that's so much more to watch. And I give kudos to people who will watch it every single night. There's only one tournament I do that for, and that's Best of the Super Juniors. I did not do that this year, though. But I like to, you know, like I'll watch them periodically. I like to watch, obviously, the night of the finals. That, you know, but it's easy to catch up. And the way how I catch up is I just look on social media and see what people are like, oh, this match was great. And then I go back because sometimes New Japan will index it right away and have just the matches individually. Sometimes they don't. It takes a bit, like a week. But I can at least go back and say, okay, where was it on the card? And I can fast forward and find it.
Yes.
And whatnot. I think that it opens up a lot of different doors because New Japan's starting their US program. And they've had that, the Lions break, and they've got a lot of really great people there. There's actually some who are also part of ROH. So it's that umbrella. So when you mix that in it too, technically, yeah, you'll have ROH people. I mean, like Brody King, Bateman, because those were guys that were in the Young Lions system. But I think that at the end of the day, I think everyone kind of benefits from it because like there's some people I think that would be amazing. Like I would love to see FTR in World Tag League. Mm-hmm. They're like one of the best in the world and going up against, you know, like oh God, I almost said Evil and Sonata, but that's not happening. Going up some of the best ones like God, and you know, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see them, you know, like with Kojima and whoever, you know, or them against Juice Robinson and God, why am I blanking his name? Finlay's son. Yeah, like I mean, those are things that are like bonuses that are great because you would never see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
you still love Juice, Clump?
Yeah, I do like him. I mean, I've never loved him, but he's okay. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
like things here and
he's
there.
one he's one that, he got a bad rap. But he's also was the first one, if I'm not mistaken, to say, you know what, to the performance center, this is not me. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and I think that, did it hurt him at first? Probably. But you know what? Now it's like he probably doesn't regret that at all.
Yeah.
When you look at
Justin's
it.
in the chat. He's saying the bad thing out of all this is with either company's talent that's got to appear, how much of AEW's talent is going to be kept off TV, which I think is a really great point. They're already doing a piss poor job of showing women's talent at all. They have no real women's division to speak of. I mean, you say how great it was to see AEW, NJPW, what was the other one? NWA and all that, but we didn't see the AEW Women's Champion. We didn't see the NWA Women's Champion. We saw, I guess, the tag champions do something. We didn't see SCU. Like, there's a lot of really great talent. I thought from the moment I saw him that Scorpio Sky had no limits on how big he could be as a star. That guy is so good in the ring and so charismatic on the mic that I thought, just let this guy go and he's going to be your Rock. He will do that. Like, he will be the Rock of this federation. I believe that. And he's been largely kept off TV, so that way there's room for Young Bucks and for the Good Brothers and for Jericho and his friends and Luther. I'm so glad Luther had a spot this week, but no SCU. Like, I do think it's a good point there. The more you're muddying it up, who's really benefiting here? And I really feel like Impact and NJPW are fully aware that they stand to get a lot more out of this deal than Tony does. And I don't think Tony realizes that at all. I'm saying I think Tony's stupider than me. Producer, something she want to say?
I was just gonna say it's already a low bar, so the product hasn't been as compelling on its own. So to be throwing in other companies, personally, I think if I see NJPW as something that I'm interested in, then I'm saying, oh, okay, now I don't have to watch this. I'm just going to go find NJPW from now on and make that my new show I watch.
Yeah, be careful that the Impact in NJPW doesn't outperform your guys. Anything else you guys want to say about the show before we move on? Talk NXT?
I'm good to go to NXT.
I'm good to go. But I will say this. I really hope that this opens, at least with NJPW, opens up their eyes to see some of the talent that AEW has. That would be amazing. And some of those things like Best of the Super Juniors. I can think of 3 people right now that I would be, you need to throw them in there.
For sure.
And even like G1, I mean, there's a lot that's there. But it's just a question of, who's going to be smart with this. And I don't know that answer.
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell for sure. And I am wondering if maybe we take a little bit of a break and let them figure all that stuff out and we come back to it and catch the hot spots. Guys, let's talk NXT. It did open up. Here's the thing about NXT is I watch it after AEW. I get 2 hours of AEW. I get an hour break to watch something else, and then I go back to NXT because I get the East Coast feed of AEW, but the West Coast feed of NXT. It's just how my subscriptions are worked out. So for me, NXT is always so good, even though when I look back on it, I think, there was probably a number of storylines that are kind of lacking. I also generally just tend not to care because I just watch so much shit story with so many goofy slap fights that by the time I get to NXT, I'm okay that they just back-to-back a bunch of good matches. It's like, it's just nice to see solid matches. Am I way off on this?
And production.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, you're not. It's a fun watch. This is long.
Yeah, it is. So we won't break down everything. It did open up with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez defeating Kaden and Casey. I think that that's probably the a smart move because Caden and Casey were looking like a little bit to be desired. I couldn't tell the timing was off with everybody in there. Here's my only problem with the Dusty Classic. It always puts over 2 random single stars and never puts over tag talents. And I really wish the Dusty Classic was really truly about here's our greatest tag teams we have and not how cool is it these 2 people are tagging up. And I think that's what we're getting here too. I do think the women's division could stand to gain a lot from having a tag team like Caden and Casey be established as a viable threat of a tag team instead of 2 single stars who just happen to work together. Clump, anything on this one?
It was so. I actually saw a spot where I thought there's a little bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah.
But then I thought of it and I had to compare it to the other program we watched on Wednesdays, and I was like, yeah, this small hiccup that I noticed that kind of took me out of the match. I see, like, I can't get into the match on the other show.
Yeah.
And that was in the backbreaker spot because it felt like Dakota Kai was delivering it, the other person didn't jump enough or wasn't able to jump enough, and I was like, yeah, but there's like a foot difference. Fuck it, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know. I couldn't
agree.
knock it. Yeah, it was a solid match.
I also think that spot that Casey and Caden did that ended up with a bit of a snafu also still looked like it made more sense and was better than when Private Party does it. That weird roll off the back and back into it thing. For whatever reason, I think Casey and Caden just made it look more like a natural spot. Amanda, anything about this match? Or the Dusty Cup?
You know, I agree with you on the Dusty Cup with the women. I mean, there's enough women that they can really develop some to be a pure tag team. That's why I love, you know, MSK coming in, is because these guys are a tag team. And that's what they do. And I think that, you know, that art form of tag team, you know, it's kind of a lost thing now. So I think that, you know, I wasn't too thrilled with the match because it felt like, okay, you guys are doing a lot of stuff that maybe you shouldn't, you know, just for now. But I get it, and I enjoyed it actually. So, but I already knew that Casey and Caden weren't gonna advance because it's like.
But I felt like it's a bigger statement if they do than if they don't. Justin does say in the chat, Caden and Casey are great. They just need more time, and I agree with that. He said it got pretty botchy at times, but it was still a really good match, and I agree with that too. I just want out of all of this, I think that the women's tag titles should take a tour in NXT. They should be on some NXT talent. I think that building a women's division, a tag division, is vital to those titles not looking like pointless items right now. And after they've been on Asuka and Charlotte the way they were, I think that they could use it. So I thought that they could really revitalize that a little bit. Plus, if you groomed a tag team to come up to the main roster, I think that'd be a lot more interesting too. Especially with the fact that the Golden Role Models, Bayley and Sasha, were the only tag team to take it to every brand. That means that you traditionally are keeping it stuck on one brand. If you had a team like a Casey and Caden win a Dusty Cup and then get called up, it could really shake up the tag team division, as that were. Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff. I don't think you can say about that other than Austin Theory is so good at what he does, and I'd like to see him away from Johnny Gargano. That's all I have to say. Anything from you, Clump?
I'm still in the middle with Austin Theory. I'm not the biggest fan of him. He's still not sold to me yet. So.
Producer, something you want to say?
I like that on social media, Leon Ruff, or Austin Theory had mentioned that he and Leon Ruff were actually having matches on the indies before they got signed. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Amanda, anything on this one? I'm ready to breeze past it.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was what it was.
didn't
I
stand
think
out.
Leon Ruff, by the way, as I've said before, I'll say it again, his sell job is so fucking good. That guy gets fucking folded into pieces. It's so fun.
Yeah,
And his
he's fun to watch.
yeah, and his invisible bump he took to get Johnny out. He did such a good job with his facial expressions and the laughing and pointing, and then going back to like the He's so good.
And
I love Leon Ruff.
I love that it made sense, like, because of course when that happened, Marsh was just like, "Oh, come on, what the hell? What's happening?" And then by the end of it, he's like, "Okay, all right."
This is good. Justin does say Leon Ruff needs to go to the cruiserweight division instead of going back to jobber for everyone. I don't disagree, but it sounds like Karrion Kross is going to be a cruiserweight champion. Lucha House Party versus Legado del Fantasma is exactly what I thought it was going to be. That's all I have to say about that. Clump.
Yeah, it was a match, but it still was a good match.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. It was exactly the good match I thought it would be. I go, oh, I know why they'd pair those two teams, is what I thought when I saw it. And then you watch it and go, yeah, that's why. Yeah. Amanda, anything on that one?
Yeah, no, the only thing I thought about is like, damn, Lucha Libre rocks. They did good with this one.
So good, so good.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight title, Thatcher, main event. So let's just talk about this. Not a whole lot going on in here. Jesse and Tony did their match. I thought Tony's looking great in there. I know they're gearing her up for the women's title matchup. I am excited to see how that ultimately plays out. I kind of also still don't understand quite how Tony is still in NXT. I do feel like that she should be on the main roster by now. She's just got a lot of star power and not a ton of story in why she's down there. So I feel like she's got in a really easy place to break her away. She should have been in the Rumble, I think. But let's talk Edge. I mean, unless there's something specific you guys really want to say about Tony or something.
No? Let's jump at Edge.
Let's talk about Edge. Because here's the cool thing about Edge. Edge shows up, and I can't remember if I said it on our show. I don't know if I said it on the reaction show with TW Takes Podcast, and I don't know if I just said it in a text message. But one of the things I said right after Edge won, and I was like, do you think they throw this one away and have him challenge Finn Balor too? Like Charlotte did with Rhea. I remember the person who I talked to booed me, but I thought it'd be interesting to watch him play it up. But I do think that if Edge goes for the NXT title, it really diminishes the Royal Rumble at that point. And really, because the idea of the Royal Rumble is you're supposed to be getting a main event in WrestleMania for the world title. And now they have this thing where you can pick the title you want to go for. Charlotte and Rhea was not the main event. I mean, I know the women aren't trying to get the main event necessarily, but they can. Becky did. She won the main event. So I think it's possible. But I do think that Edge against Balor, although would be in a tremendous match with apparently a load of good story, I don't think that that's the title he should be going for. I do see a lot of people excited. I want to see the match. I don't think I want to see it at Mania. But Edge comes out while Balor and Pete Dunne, Balor and Pete were having a discussion amicably. So they're going to have a match at Vengeance on February 14th. And Edge comes out and, God, he's so good. And the promos in NXT reminded me how loud AEW was. Because everyone was talking softly and normally like humans talk. And Edge had a way of making the Balor versus Pete Dunne match seem like the most important match that Edge will never be in. And I was like, what? He just made that match can't miss, and he's not in it. That's fucking incredible. And then he had the parking lot thing with Karrion Kross, which made Karrion Kross look like a fucking star. Kross comes out and talks to Escobar, tells him stop fucking around without a mic, but with a camera close enough so you could hear him. Kross has no business in NXT. That guy needs to be on the main roster. But I think coming out of this episode, I thought to myself, oh my God, Pete Dunne, Finn Balor, Edge, Karrion Kross. How are they not their own TV show altogether? Clump, what do you think about Edge in NXT?
It was cool. It was a cool, quick spot to see him come in. And yeah, he did a fantastic job of hyping up things that he wasn't in. And, like, you can't beat that.
He did more, I felt like, in that moment, not even wrestling for NXT and their whole production there, than Charlotte did as the NXT champion.
Mhm.
I feel like he made it seem so important, and she made it seem like this thing she had to go do.
Yeah, like
I'm not trying to knock her, but I'm just saying that that's how good Edge is.
you're not wrong though. Like it's what is your role here? His is increasing the talent around him, whereas it felt like Charlotte. Yeah, it felt like a solo one-person task, which isn't bad, but how much more impressive is it when you're building up another person?
Edge made Karrion Kross seem like an equal. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Edge made Pete Dunne and Balor both seem like people that he wished he could have a match with.
Mhm.
Not the other way around. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Amanda, what do you think about Edge in NXT?
All right, first of all, I stopped watching after Edge, kind of around the time Edge retired, to be quite honest. And
Okay.
I've always
Devastating blow.
really loved him. Just because there's just a way that when he does a promo, it's just so believable. And I mean, back then, I mean, he had, storylines in WWE sometimes are really just ridiculous. I don't really necessarily like when I go to NXT. I'm not really interested in the storyline because it's probably crappy. I'd rather see the good wrestling.
Yeah.
But this stopped me, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm in the camp of, after hearing him with Pete Dunne and with Finn, he's gonna go for that title, and they will make it a main event. Why? Because it's Edge, and then not only that, but the way he can emote, I think that is going to carry it to be something grander than you would think it should be. And I think that he's probably the only person who could do that. And, I mean, there's people who are, obviously stars, but they're doing it by their name. But no, this is a guy that's building everybody up around him for this whole big shebang. And I think that that's it's great learning for a lot of the newer guys, and even the guys that are, we think that should be on the roster, I think can benefit a lot from it.
I think so too. And I think something that Edge brings, which I don't think a lot of people in the legend status bring on any show, is a true feeling of he still got it. You know what I mean? He truly does he bridges the gap more than any other legend I've ever seen make a return. This isn't Bret Hart coming back in denim shorts to wrestle Vince McMahon in a street fight that was weird. This isn't Bob Backlund coming back to wrestle Bret Hart for the title that he wanted back. This is not Goldberg coming back once every couple years to have a couple quick 2-minute matches. This is a guy who comes back and has 3 45-minute matches against Randy Orton, one of the best to ever do it and still on the highest level, and proves he's also on that level still. Mm-hmm. This is also a dude who bridges the Attitude Era gap that Randy Orton doesn't cover. So for the Peacock subscribers who are suddenly going to see a WWE logo on their app, for the 33 million who do not subscribe to WWE Network, who just suddenly became subscribed to the WWE Network, if they click over and they see, oh my God, Edge is doing some stuff, and they click on it and they get this Edge, they're not given that NBA response of, yo, he fell off. They're getting, oh, what have I missed? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think of it as if CM Punk were to ever come back and wrestle. I think with him, there is no way he cannot hold a candle to how Edge has come back. And I mean, and the kind of wrestler that he was. I mean, yeah, you got some great matches out of CM Punk, but honestly, it's like, you're really not carrying anything. Whatever, you're just holding a lot of resentment, and everyone's holding it too. But
yes,
I think with Edge, I mean, it's one of those ones where it's like, man, you could have hated him like back in the day, but I mean, he's just that likable of a person. And it
Yes.
seems like he loves the business so much that it's genuine and not like, oh, I'm here, brother, because, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Here's my ring. Ha ha ha. Whatever. I think that's a huge plus, and you see that. And for him to be willing at his age to get back in there and go up against some of these young guys, holy shit. And he's, he proves himself. At Rumble, I was just in awe. I'm like, damn, he's doing it. Like he's doing it. So I think that's where I'm like, you know what? The comments he made on NXT, the people he talked to, I think it's going to lead to that. And I think it's going to take NXT to the next level. And that's basically their gunshot to AEW.
Yeah. I thought that was a big one too. Yeah. Because it also put over Pete Dunne as the guy to watch. He basically went out there and said, if you liked me, you're going to love Pete Dunne. And Finn Balor right now is at a level I wish I was on. And Karrion Kross is someone I think I could have a grudge match with.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, I feel like anybody who just tuned in for the first time in a long time goes, Edge is, what the fuck is happening? And who are these guys? And two of them are going to have a match? I have to watch that. Edge is watching that match. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What we didn't get to see, I don't know if you caught it. I caught it. Was before he talked to Karrion Kross, he was talking to Bronson Reed. I'm like, whoa! Shoot. I mean, that, that would be like amazing. But
I mean, honestly, he gave a little bit of a rub there. So good.
Get a little bit of a rub there, And I think that that's what these guys need. This is these kinds of things for those guys who are on the main roster now that kind of rocketed through, NXT, like Ricochet. Like, he's a great example of one. I think that he really could have benefited from a program with Edge.
Yeah.
I
agree with that 100%. I think he still could. I don't think that's off the table entirely. Clump?
Yeah.
No.
Anything else you want to throw in about Edge being on NXT and putting over NXT talent like the thing to be watching?
No, I think what you guys said is absolutely it. By building up talent, what more can you ask? And that's what we need. I'm of two minds. Do you go to a place, show up, be this amazing one-time thing, or do you go in and help others? And he's shown that over the past year.
Yeah, tremendous. Let's hit the chat real quick before we wrap it up. Lunar says, Edge returning and home, self out for matches. I'm about it. Give me all the matchups. I agree with that too. If you like interviews, after the Bell podcast with Corey Graves, he did an interview with Edge where he talks about a lot of these young guys that he wants to work with NXT. He'd mentioned he really wanted to go to NXT and run some matches with some guys. And the way he was talking about it, I was like, fuck, please. Justin, right before that, though, said, my one gripe with Edge winning is the fact that no matter who he faces, it makes no sense. There's no story behind any of them. And I think it's actually opposite. It's the same story with all three of them, no matter who he chooses, which makes this more interesting and compelling to see how they take you there, right? So let me walk you through it real quick. Clump, tell me what you think. If he faces Roman, he's going to Roman saying, you don't treat the championship the way that my generation built that championship to be treated. You treat it like a belt buckle. You treat it like a sign of your superiority and not something that you uplift to make to be superior. You see yourself bigger than the title, and the thing is there's nothing in the world bigger than that title, and so I'm going to take it right off you. Or he goes to Drew and he says, I need to prove to myself that I am just as good as I've ever been, and I can take that title right off you on the number one show. Well, I guess SmackDown's the number one show. I mean, let's be honest, Mac and Fart's not shit. But he's going over there saying, I need that world title back. I haven't had it in a long time, and I miss how it feels. I need to prove that I'm just as good as I ever was and just as good as you will ever be. And goes for Drew McIntyre's title. Same thing with Finn Balor. Not only do I need to prove I'm just as good as the top guy right now, I need to prove I'm just as good as the best of the future generation right now. He's got himself to prove in all three of those scenarios. I'm going to take Roman's title because he doesn't treat it with the respect I've taught it to, and I'm just as good now as I've ever been, so I can take it off Roman. Drew, I've got to prove it to myself. Sorry, you're a collateral damage, as it were, in my journey to regain it. And Finn, I've got to stomp you out to prove that I am so good now that I could even crush the next generation. Clump, what do you think?
I agree with that. Personally, I think the best match for him would be him versus Drew. If nothing else, because Drew's a natural heel. Drew as a heel might be okay here, and it might make me want him to hold a title longer. And so I'm cool with that. I like that idea. Though him versus Balor is a very compelling argument to me, in that it could be a really interesting match. But I have trouble with him versus Roman, because I feel like him versus Roman is too kind of played out. You know, that's just me being weird. I think it could be better.
Yeah. I don't know which one I want, to be quite honest, but I think that they're all three different variations of the same story. Amanda, what do you think before we gun through it?
Well, Edge and Roman just seems like it's Edge John Cena all over again. In just my heart, just because this is the guy that you have on the pedestal, and whatnot. I don't want to see that. I saw some great shit that he and Cena did that I loved. So no, I don't want to see that. Him and Drew, I mean, damn, like Drew, I'm like 3MB guy. I don't know. I don't know.
Back and forth.
I don't think he's up to snuff, and on that level that Edge is on. I don't think
snuff
he's there.
A fart joke?
I don't know.
Don't do that.
Never mind. Keep going.
Totally is.
Yeah. So I think naturally, the choice really is to go with NXT, because it's almost like, I mean, he obviously probably doesn't have a lot of years in the tank, but it's that way that you can transition to the future, because he does represent a really good past with WWE, because a lot of those years, I mean, that was the John Cena era. That was, you saw a lot of shit there. So I think that you don't see stars of that caliber anymore, and that's why I think it's going to go that way.
I think it's good. In the chat real quick, Fabtina does say that Edge really makes his line resonate, and I agree with that. I think that even if he says two words, you end up going, oh shit.
Well, I think part of that's just being an actor and having those, I'm assuming all that training as an actor. Viking. Yeah, so he knows at this point, what small gestures really do on screen. Yeah. Because, think about the people that we love who've been doing, like Roman's been doing that, and the little gestures really do go a long way.
I agree. Just in time in the chat gifted a sub to Splinter Fox, which I believe was a deliberate troll against TW Takes. That's my own personal opinion. GR Lunar says Edge is putting in the work, long matches, Iron Man of the Royal Rumble, 100%. Yeah, he's showing that he's not there just to roll in, roll out, and get the job, get the paycheck. Cheers, Splinter Fox coming through. He's hyped about Kenta, which is cool. Glad to see that. Amanda was listing off the number of NJPW matches she wants to see now that that's going on. He does say he tunes in late to avoid the AEW bashing. I mean, I can't defend myself on that.
Okay, but I have a question to post to everybody. When I look at Edge, and then I look at Jericho or AEW, I feel like Jericho wants to be like Edge, but there's such a huge disconnect.
I believe that to be true.
Yeah, that he has. I mean, am I like smoking something? Because
here's the deal. During matches, Edge still has a 6-pack. Splinter Fox does say,
"Come on."
What? What'd I say? What? I was just moving through. Spinner Fox does say Roman is top 2 heel, still not on Jay White's level. Roman is damn near close, and I am not as familiar with Jay White to even try to contest that. But I love that he loves those two on the same level that way. And I've heard nothing but good things about Jay White, and I'm excited to see where he goes. I've seen some of his stuff, not enough for me to compare him to Roman. I haven't seen so much of both of them. Yeah. I did not like some of the stuff I've seen of his, but I have liked some of the things I have seen of his. So I'm on board with Splinter Fox saying that. I love that his 2 favorite heels is Roman and Jay White. To me, that's fucking dope. Like, I don't even want to argue it. I just love that those are his 2 favorite. You know what I mean? The fact that he's going, which one? Awesome. Perfect. Love it. Splinter Fox does say Edge is going to be NXT. Think about it. Beth is there. Which, I mean, if they were traveling, I'd say, yeah, probably, but I don't know. And I think the Edge has a lot to offer everybody, and even he says Edge will eventually be a trainer and a mentor, and I believe that is true as well. Splinter hates Marsh. He's back in JPW. Wait, Jay White's back in JPW? Is that right? I thought he
never left.
Yes. He didn't even leave.
He never left?
Nope. It was a big
that
swerve.
Sucks. Boo!
It's like a 7-year contract or something stupid like that. It's a really obnoxiously long contract.
I'd heard that too, but I thought that.
Yeah, no, they're not going to let him go.
Here's the deal, Amanda. I don't understand contracts, so I don't let those things get in my way.
No, I don't either. But he's, he started in the Lion system. If you go way back and see, footage of NJPW, you see him, like one of the young boys. So he did all of that, and his excursion was at ROH, and then he came back to what he is now. He's definitely evolved. I could say that.
Yeah, for sure. That much I 100% saw. GR Lunar does make a really good point. It's neither of them because Corbin is the best heel. Can't argue with the king.
Fact.
Justin does think that it's Roman above. Splinter Fox says it was served because fuck WWE, you can't have them. Oh, we're going to take them because I don't understand contracts. All in all, Edge in NXT was tremendous and so good. And when you got Edge on one channel and you flip to the other one and see Sting say, I don't know, whatever, you go, okay, I'm going back to NXT. But the last match of the night, unless there's anything else you guys thought we didn't hit about Edge, I thought we really dug in on there.
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. So we'll wrap it up quickly because there's not a lot to say about Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa defeating Adam Cole and Roderick Strong other than I love that they have Ciampa growing out his hair some to look 10 years older real quick. So it really does look like a grizzled veteran and a young, mean motherfucker. Thatcher's the meanest looking person in the business. He's not the biggest, but he looks fucking mean. He looks like if he's at the end of the bar, you just go, I don't know, man, just fuck that guy. Don't even look at him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they ended up winning over Undisputed Era, and I think that's an awesome move. I'm really curious to see these two together. I think their styles mesh so well together. Overall, good match, and I'm happy they're still in the Classic, although it furthers my point that the Dusty Classic is there to support 2 single stars and not a tag team. Clump, what do you want to say about this main event?
I didn't see a lot of it because audio, but it looked good from what I did see. I think that Thatch and Ciampa, like, I'm excited to see them go. I love seeing like, it was early in the show. I love seeing Thatcher with, like, old-timey shit that he's trying to look strong with, like the fucking hammer. Like, I'm cool with this.
Yeah. He does look like he was just completely pulled out of the 50s and dropped into NXT.
Yes.
And I love that. You watch him sometimes and I think I get Carl Gotch. You know what I mean? Like, Amanda, what do you want to say about this main event?
Well, you've got obviously, just Cole and, because I have not seen them, just Roddy and Cole tag a lot together because I always thought Undisputed Era was really fishing.
Since Kyle O'Reilly began his main event venture with Finn Balor, that's when Cole and Strong started to tag together. but primarily it was just before the Dusty Classic and primarily Dusty Classic.
Got it. So you had, 4 individuals, 2 on each team. But, Thatcher, I want to say that like back in the day when he was at WXW and he was with Walter and they were ring conf, man, you have Walter who's this big brooding, dude. And then you see little Thatcher next to him and he just looks like, who would you be more afraid of? I would be more afraid of Thatcher.
Yes.
In a heartbeat. Because I think that guy might like eat me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, there's 2 people in this world that scare me.
If you're in a bar and you're seeing Thatcher at a bar and you're seeing Walter at a bar, Thatcher's the type of dude when he looks at you with his toothless grin, you go, fuck that guy, don't talk to him. Yeah. And Walter looks like the dude who you say, did that guy just put They Might Be Giants on the radio? Yeah. Did he just hit They Might Be Giants on the jukebox? Was that you, Walter? You know what I mean? He doesn't look as imposing as it turns out he is. Because Walter will then come over and say, let me show you something.
Yeah. And there's 2 people in wrestling that I am deathly afraid of. Okay. In their character personas.
Yeah.
Timothy Thatcher. And then the other one who I think is just as disturbing is Minoru Suzuki. Murder Grandpa. Okay. Murder Grandpa.
I saw someone tweet a thing, said, be careful what doors you open, AEW, and posted a picture of him. And I was like, no, that's hard to argue.
Well, he was supposed to wrestle at Joey Janela's spring break. He was supposed to wrestle Orange Cassidy. I wanted to see that so bad. So bad. Book it, Tony Khan. Come on. Yeah. Damn it. Book it. Book it.
Let me see. Yeah, I agree with all that. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing here. Spider-Fox, predictable match. It's pretty good. Thatcher looking crazy. Oh, yeah. I was just going to say this as a dig. Because I'm here for the petty shit. And I'm not going to be one-sided on my petty shit. Looking at Roderick Strong right now, I started really thinking about his singles run when he was the Messiah of the Backbreaker. And thought, damn. Remember that dude worked hard? Because him and Adam Cole both have fucking muffin tops, dude. And I'm not saying that I'm in shape. I'm not one of those dudes to be like, oh, I could do it better. I can't do it better. I know that. But I'm saying those dudes look comfortable as fuck.
Their characters are changing.
Their characters are ever evolving and they look fucking comfortable on top. You know what I mean? And I feel like someone needs to make Adam Cole and UE go, oh, we might lose our spot if we don't fucking step up. They look real fucking comfortable to me. That's why I liked Thatcher and Ciampa getting the win here. Because I was like, these fucking dudes don't know. Clump, am I off on that one? Am I being a dick?
As one large man to another,
Amanda's giggling in the back too. She goes, yeah, I want to hear what Clump has to say about this too.
No, these fat fucks, they need to work on themselves.
Yeah, I don't think any of us can talk.
Those fat fucking shits and their long ass hippie hair.
Adam Cole's getting close to big and tall. Mainly big, not tall. He's the.
And get a haircut, you hippie. All right. Just throwing it out there. I was just thinking. Just because I remember when he was on his run, and I remember thinking, like, fuck, why isn't Roddy on the main fucking
I mean, can I throw this?
But right now,
if we're going to do this and kind of be silly about this, can I say Goldberg looked maybe the most comfortable I've ever seen him on Royal Rumble? Yeah. Like, I was like,
did.
You put on some weight.
Yeah.
I'll make it. Go ahead, Amanda.
I think Chris Jericho is influencing everybody that you could just be comfortable. Horrible to say, but
Chris Jericho's is showing everyone you can be a fucking hedonist.
Yeah, well,
he's like, guys, you don't have to try anymore.
Yeah. No. But I will say what's kind of funny is the waiting room, because Ricky was on the waiting room with Cole's old lady. They were flirty. Ricky's got a six-pack. So, hey, Cole, you might want to.
That's really funny, actually. I was about to shit all over that, but just hearing, that I'm all behind it now.
Yeah.
So Fox does say Suzuki in a dark alley. Oh hell no, I'm out. I don't think so. We're gonna talk about that cartoon right now. Justin says, remember what Kevin Kelly always says on commentary: never look at Suzuki directly in his eyes. Ugh, I don't even like the sound
I
of
don't
that.
really. He said that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's
Splinter
because
Fox
sometimes
says,
I'm watching Japanese. Not like I know Japanese, but
yeah, but you just
I'd
watch
do
it
that to
anyway,
not
just
listen to
go-
Kevin Kelly.
That's a good way to avoid them. Splinter
and
Fox
Don
says,
Callis. Yeah.
I see.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good. That's a great point. Let's see. Oh, where to go? I see an empty seat next to Thatcher and one next to Suzuki. I'm taking the seat next to Thatcher. I mean, I guess you got to hedge your bets on that one. So, yeah, I feel you. You go, he might be in a good mood today. But the other guy's never in a good mood. So, let's see. I'm afraid of
if
carrying
he
Cross. Winner
smiles-
says,
You're fucked.
Splinter Fox does say they could outrun all of us from the gym. And I agree that they could probably also kick my ass. Except I think I could kick Adam Cole's ass. I really do. There's nothing about his presentation next
Who
week.
can't
I feel like-
kick
yeah,
Adam Cole's
I feel like I
ass?
can.
Yeah.
Cole.
Adam Cole's entire presentation is like, oh, yeah, I could beat you up.
Yeah, I feel like all of us could give him like the Keith Lee like throw.
Yes. He looks easily yeeted, as they say. But at Roddy Strong,
Not anymore, that's why he's
I think
gaining
would beat the
weight.
shit out of both. Yeah. Oh, is that what Roddy's trying to go for? He's like, I'm not
No,
getting
that's what
yeeted,
Cole's-
dude.
Man, I'm tired of getting thrown around. I got an idea. What is it? Dairy Queen has specials on food.
Yeah.
Are those
need a
protein shakes?
Blizzard.
They are shakes.
Yeah. They are shakes, high in a form of protein, I would say.
I can't tell you what.
Let's see. Splinter Fox does say, WD fanboys. I'm not going to pretend I'm not, dude. I know what I show. I know it. But that's the fun part about being a wrestling fan. Is the thing is all these companies, AEW, Impact, MLW, WWE, NXT, other ones, GCW, DDT, all of them. They all need their shills. We're all doing our part. And
Yeah.
I love that Splinter Fox is shilling for AEW. He shills for NJPW hard, and I love that.
We show for Mission Pro, which is super indie.
Hell yeah. Mission Pro, they're having a show real soon here. I don't know if it's this weekend or next weekend.
That the
Cage match with Thunder Rosa. Yeah. Thunder Rosa, Allison Kay in a cage match. That's their third match together. Their first match together. It was at Hard Times NWA. We were both there.
Yep.
That turned me into an Allison Kay fan. Prior to that match,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the night she decided to cook me up a steaming hot plate of crow for me to eat, and I enjoyed every second of it. And I walked out of there going, God damn, I'm an Allison Kay fan now. Nothing I could do about it.
She needs to be signed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that part I don't get at all.
Yeah.
But I don't understand contracts, so it's not for me to get.
Yeah.
Let's see. It wasn't booked. Splinter Fox says, and you ever said that they don't like Kevin Kelly is way better than any WWE commentary. It's this weekend. Yeah, this weekend for the cage match, February 6th. I thought it was this weekend. So check that out, guys. It's going to be on the Mission. If you go to missionpro.net, you can get the link, titlematchwrestling.com, to get the stream there. Guys, was there anything we missed on the shows tonight? I felt like we dug in our heels pretty hard
I
on
think
this
we
one.
knocked out a lot.
We knocked out a lot. I do want to say this one thing. Xia Li, her manager type, the creepy lady or the creepy person, I suppose, on the chair, had an animated vignette, which I don't know if you got to see, Clump. I'm going to send it to you just to make sure you did.
No, I saw it. I was like, this is weird. Again, no
haven't
sound.
seen Send it to me.
It was, oh, you didn't do the sound? It was weird. It was beautiful. It was awesome. I think I've watched it 3 times, and I don't think I understand it all quite yet. But they
like
gave a
Akira.
name to that person. Amanda, what'd you think of it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't
Is her
seen
name
it? I'll send it
Frederick?
both to you direct.
Yeah.
Um,
Did they show it on
I'll send it to you guys. It was on
'Cause I
NXT,
watched-
yeah.
I watched it on Hulu. So Hulu
It could have been cut.
sometimes could cut stuff. So
It could have cut it. I'll send it to you guys both direct, so you guys can check it out. But it was a really nice piece. I really liked it. It makes me interested more in that story, but go figure. Guys, check out Mission Pro Wrestling this weekend on titlematchwrestling.com, missionprowrestling.net. If you follow us at WOTR The Show. Amanda, where can they find you?
you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ms. Amanda Jane.
With a Y. Clump, how can I find you?
With luck.
That's a good point. They really can't.
Yeah.
They can find you every week here on episode 1 at Wrestling on the Rocks at twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks is the only place you're going to find Clump and lock him in a corner because nobody puts baby in a corner.
God damn it.
Cry baby Clump.
Go. I
yeah,
I didn't even say my name right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Keep bouncing.
Guys, thank you guys for coming through and having a drink with us and sharing some time. I think that's it, guys. I think that's the last call. I was going to pitch something else, but I have no idea what it was. Check us out, WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. Find all of our links, all of our contacts. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Instagram. I got a ton of new drawings. I'm trying a new style out. Check me out at MarshRef to tell me what you think. Guys, that's the last call.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.